Get the show on the road. I've got a lot to do, and I've been wasting a lot of time. I've been really dropping the ball, the literal, and I've been really paramilitary ball, whatever that means, parasocial ball. Welcome, free viewers. Oh yeah. Uh. Oh. All right. Have you pressed like on this stream? Yes. No. There you go. This is gonna be up for some time. Alright, might as well just start. With this nonsensical dribble. Full on interview with this guy.
You're a New York Times reader, an NPR fan.
Why is he so quiet compared to his music? Why is his balancing so bad? Doesn't he have like 4.29 million subscribers, a lot of ads, a lot of money? Can he not afford proper editing for his crap? Is this too much to ask for him to have proper sound balancing for his videos? Come on. Be serious for once. Be serious for one moment.
Daily Wire subscriber or an avid consumer of all things Tucker Carlson. For several months now, there's been no avoiding the subject of Nick Fuentes. And let's be clear, the main reason you're hearing about him is because he's popular. A large number of people, especially young men.
Well, yeah, that is how that works. You hear about people when they are popular, and you do not hear about them when they are not popular. What kind of... Okay, that's a bit redundant. The only reason why you hear about this popular person is because they are popular. Hello, fake Alec Kyle Parker. I'm doing this Piers Morgan thing first, then we're gonna be talking about more political things. Piers is implying he does not like Nick. Nobody likes Nick. I mean, some people like Nick, but I don't like Piers Morgan either. Piers Morgan is just as silly as... Well, maybe not as, but Piers Morgan is something else as well, so, you know. LLL, large fries. Do you like some large L fries with that?
Men are interested in what he has to say. What that says about our society and our culture is the subject of ferocious debate.
Oh my god, our society and culture. People should stop using those as buzzwords without knowing what they mean. Infuriating. It really is infuriating. Pierce is implying he does not respect Nick, saying he's only having him on because he's popular. Oh, well, you know what? Piers Morgan is not exactly a respectable person either, so I cannot say that I respect Piers Morgan either. He's literally right. Well, yeah, but it's just... Duh. What do you mean? Whatever. That's true for all of his guests. Like, do you think that he has destiny on, not because he's popular? Yeah, because Piers Morgan is known for hosting those niche people that nobody knows about. Those unpopular names that deserve the spotlight, right? No, he's not.
For many people, it's a grave indictment of an insidious immorality. For others, he's a product of a culture which has turned on its own and left many young people feeling listless and bitter. He's either a litmus test for right-wing hypocrisy on free speech or a walking, talking manifestation of where the line should be drawn. And a frankly preposterous amount of airtime has been spent on debating everything from his ideology to his sexuality and whether anyone should actually talk to him at all.
I can agree on that. I can definitely agree on the fact that nobody should talk to Nick Fuentes and that Nick Fuentes should be just, I don't know, relegated to obscurity. But Piers Morgan says that everybody talks about him, debates him, but at the end of the day, no matter what the excuse, he does have him on. Okay? He had him on, so he just perpetuates the thing that he just complained about.
Writing a glossary entry on the Streisand effect, I wouldn't put a picture of her next to it. I would put a picture of Nick Fuentes.
They have opted to not do so when it comes to...
That's great that you're complaining about people talking about him, debating his sexuality and everything, while you put him on your show of 2.29 million subscribers.
Nazis like Nick Fuentes.
Fuentes takes this guy apart brick by brick. It's a full takedown.
My concern is that people who are a bit more moderate are deeply alarmed by Nick Fuentes.
Apparently, Destiny revived his career. The famous 6 million cookies joker.
I was very happy to see that, like, Nick Fuentes really passed that test with flying colors.
That fragmentation is being caused purposefully by a splinter faction of people led by a young man named Nick Fuentes.
That's the war. Can you get the beef prices down? Not crazy things that Nick Fuentes or these other loons say on social media.
Well, it looks like all the screaming about Nick Fuentes on the internet is finally dying down a little bit.
So now we had on this guy, this Fuentes guy, and never challenged him.
You should have Nick Fuentes on your show and you could ask him questions about that.
The truth is, it doesn't make a lot of sense to spend all this time talking about Nick Fuentes, but not actually to Nick Fuentes. People who say...
I'm sorry, but talking to Nick Fuentes revived his whole career. That's what created the talking about Nick Fuentes. Talking to him. Why would you want to talk to Nick Fuentes? He has nothing interesting to say.
You shouldn't give him a platform, overlook the very obvious fact that he already has a platform of his own, which is often bigger than most of the people complaining. And he uses it to speak unchallenged to his many followers.
Well, that you say that he shouldn't be given a platform, but now you're giving him a platform.
It's on that basis that I've invited him to appear live and uncensored on my platform. And Nick Fuentes joins me now. Nick Fuentes, welcome to Uncensored.
Hi, great to be with you.
I don't know you. I don't think we've ever met. You can correct me if that's wrong. I know about you. I know that increasingly people are talking about you in a more mainstream environment than you may be used to. So for those of you who know nothing about Nick Fuentes, I want this to be an opportunity to get to the real person. I don't know who that person is, but I do want to use this opportunity to get there. I've seen you talk, as we prepared for this, in exchanges with people and on your show, saying you fear it's going to be very hostile, it's going to be an ambush, all those kind of things. I don't intend it to be overtly hostile. I don't intend to ambush you. I intend it to be an examination of what you said on the record, an examination of what you believe or what you say you believe, and an examination of what your rising popularity says about the state of the conservative movement in America. So those are my goals from this interview. What are your goals? Why are you doing it?
Nick Fuentes is not a nice guy, okay? Because he's cool. Well, now I see who you consider to be cool. And that makes me not want to be cool in your view. I do not want to be considered cool by you if you think Nick Fuentes is cool.
Interesting. And, you know, you've talked a lot about me on your show over the years, and this is the first time you actually
Fascinating.
extended the invitation.
Wow.
I think it might be the second, actually. I think we talked about doing it during A24 a few years ago, but you've talked a lot about me with the panel, and now you've extended the invitation to talk to me. And I think it'd be interesting for me to maybe clarify some positions and maybe get to know you a little better as well. So I'm looking forward to it.
There is a belief that you have two personas. There's one that you roll out now for podcasts and for shows like mine, where you come across as reasonable. And then there's your show on Rumble, where you often come across as having,
unreasonable.
A very unreasonable view on things.
Oh,
this is what
gosh.
Coleman Hughes said about you.
Nick Fuentes knows exactly what he's doing. He is consciously playing this double game as part of a long-term strategy to become popular enough to take the reins of power, at which point he plans to pivot towards the extreme and unpopular policies.
The reins of power in the hands of Nick Fuentes. I mean, Trump's president, and anything's possible, I suppose.
Daily on Rumble.
So first of all, what is your response to that?
That's not
First
true.
of all, I would say that Coleman Hughes is
I would say that it's completely not true and that people are misrepresenting my persona. I'm completely kosher. Haha, pardon my joke, and everything's good. Piers?
a propagandist. He works for the Free Press, which is run by Barry Weiss. So I think you have to consider the source. And Barry Weiss is a pro-Israel partisan. Free Press is just bought out by CBS for $150 million. By Larry Ellison or his son David Ellison.
Your bought and sold hack, Piers Morgan. I mean, kind of sort of true, but.
And so I think that's coming from a particular point of view. We can't pretend like that's coming from a vacuum or from some fixed position. That's coming from a propaganda outlet that's in favor of Israel. That's first. But second, I would say he is right about the two personas. And I think that everybody understands this on some level. On my show, I make jokes and I use rhetoric and I'm hyperbolic because for a long time, I had an audience that was small on these like dissident platforms. I was
what
on
was
D
small
Live for many years. A lot of people don't even know what that is. And so I had a small following and we had sort of like an in-group sense of humor and memes and things like that. And you talk about it one way on a freewheeling live stream when I'm by myself and I'm ranting and we make jokes and we play devil's advocate. We play with different positions. But then when you sit down in an interview like this one and people ask me a good faith question, what do you actually believe? Well, then I clarify and I say, well, here I'm not joking. Here I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm not being rhetorical. I'll tell you precisely what I believe. As far as this idea that I'm going to get power and then turn into Hitler, that just sounds totally insane.
Why Hitler? Nobody said that. The person just said that you'd go into a more extreme version of your beliefs if you get power. Nobody said that you would turn Hitler. That is a very tame comparison that you're giving us here. Nobody said anything about you turning Hitler.
Insane to me, I'll be honest. It just sounds insane.
Do you have aspirations for political power?
Not really. I think that if I wanted to run for office, I wouldn't say a lot of the things that I say. I don't know that a lot of people would vote for me. I tend to offend everybody, even a lot of people that like me. So no, I'm a truth teller. I like to tell the truth.
Yeah, of course. Everybody says that. Everybody's a truth teller these days. Every single person is the real truth teller. Of course. I'm so edgy and truthful.
To do my live stream.
Honest.
Who is Nick Fuentes? Tell me about your upbringing. I know you grew up in the suburbs.
Why does Nick Fuentes have more views than you? Because populist, brainless rhetoric is popular with people. There you go. That's why. Hello, Titan Uranus. Also, he has more views than just me. We both have truths. Are yours the same as mine? Depends on the topic, probably. It's ridiculous.
Suburbs of Chicago. Tell me about your early years.
Again?
Or early how? Like my childhood or a little bit later?
Yeah, your childhood, yeah.
Well, I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago in LaGrange Park, as you say. My parents are ethnics. My father's half Mexican, half Irish. My mother's Italian.
My parents are ethnics? What the fuck does that mean? My parents are ethnics. My parents are ethnics.
They both came from a pretty rough upbringing themselves. They both were raised by single mothers, not because of divorce, but because both of their fathers had died. They endured a lot of dysfunction. And I think that's one of the reasons they came together and they related to each other and they wanted to create a normal upbringing for their children. They wanted to have a normal family life. And so they moved out to LaGrange Park away from the city. And they raised me and my sister and
True.
really put us first. I think that's a big reason why.
Who cares about Nick Fuentes' past? Well, Piers Morgan does, apparently. I don't, but, you know. Piers Morgan spent 5 minutes complaining that talking about Nick Fuentes, that there's no point, that who cares about Nick Fuentes, and now he's interrogating him about his childhood as if he was such a fascinating figure. We really need to write a biography in real time here. It's so necessary.
I tend to have a lot of these family values or Christian values. My mother
He evolved
quit her
into a
job and
white
stayed at home
person.
to raise us. And so I've
He said that Polish people are not white. Is that if he wanted a white woman, it would definitely not be a Polish woman because Polish people are not white.
very close relationship with my parents, with my sister. We're a very tight family. And we grew up in a pretty idyllic town. And maybe we can sort of get into a conversation about politics from this. I loved my upbringing. My mom stayed at home. My dad was working. We're in a mostly white suburb in
Well, why are you such a broken person if everything was so perfect?
Chicago. Everybody was maybe half Catholic, half Protestant. It was a baseball town. I played baseball for many years. In Chicago, we love our hot dogs. We have our baseball parade and get a hot dog. And so I love where I came from. I love the city. It's a working class city. I love the people here. They're very good, humble, down to earth, decent people. And I guess I had my political, not to jump ahead, but
My political awakening.
this is a big part of where my political awakening came from.
Jesus fuck. I actually said that. I cannot believe it. My political awakening.
I sort of left this bubble, if you could call it that. When I went to college in 2016, I went to Boston University. And I read a lot of things online, and I realized the country does not look like LaGrange Park. It doesn't look like Western Springs or Hinsdale or Elmhurst. It looks very different.
Whoa.
The country's undergoing a radical transformation because of
Different places have different people. Whoa, that radicalized me. That led to my political awakening. Titan Uranus said, I have a friend who's a psychologist. He told me once, decades ago, that anyone who says they had a perfect childhood sets off alarm bells. That is true. Nobody has a perfect childhood. Every family has some problems. There's no such thing as a perfect childhood.
immigration. And so I saw that and I said, this is not really a desirable change. I don't like the south side of Chicago or the west side or LA or certain parts of Boston as much as I like where I came from.
That was your political awakening? That you didn't like some other side of town or city?
Made me an American nationalist. I said, I want to preserve my home and the things that are familiar to me and the things I like about my home. What makes it.
But the other parts of Chicago were also part of the quote unquote nation. That makes no sense. Not liking different parts of Chicago made you an American nationalist? That makes no sense. Your political awakening makes no sense. Leave it to Beaver syndrome. The world doesn't look like a white flight suburb. He's not even saying the world. He's just saying a different part of Chicago. Like, what? How does that make any sense? It doesn't.
In America. So that's a little bit about my background. I don't know where you
Also, again, I'm going to repeat this once again. The U.S. is not even a traditional nation state with a single nation. It's either a composite state or a multinational state. It's not a nation state in the traditional sense, not by a long shot. It's ridiculous to say that it is. My political awakening was realizing I'm a xenophobe, said Titan Uranus. Yeah, basically.
Want to go with that, but
well,
that's kind of where I came from.
My first obvious question is, were your parents immigrants to the United States?
My obvious question is, why are you such a dumbass? Oh, wait, no, I'm not supposed to say that, Mr. Fuentes. I'm not supposed to be so mean to my guest. Hello, Greater Eight. Hello, hello. What a wonderful, wonderful interview.
Or were their parents or were their grandparents? In other words, at some stage, I presume, there were immigrants in your family who came to the US. Is that correct?
There were. I believe my mother...
They were the good ones. They were the ones that were allowed to come to. They met the quota. They were the cutoff point. No more. No more.
Fourth generation, and my father was third generation. So their ancestors came here on my mom's side in the 1860s, I believe. The first wave of Italian immigration. My father's ancestors, I think they came around at the turn of the century in 1900.
So your view of immigration, and we'll get to the specifics about your views on immigration, are they not affected at all by the fact that if it wasn't for immigration, you wouldn't exist?
No, because I'm part of the good wave of immigration that created the United States, and I'm just against the bad wave of immigration that wants to destroy what the first wave of immigration built. It makes perfect sense, and it's totally consistent and not nonsensical at all. Of course. Of course.
As an American.
Well, I would certainly exist, but like you said, maybe not as an American. Certainly that's influenced in some measure. But I think that the kind of immigration that we had for a long time in the country, it's different than the immigration.
Fucking hell, I called it. I called it all just... Yeah, that the difference is that immigration before was good, and that immigration now is bad, and I don't like it because it's trying to ruin the country, and that one built it. It's just...
that we have now. And let's just say for openers, it's different immigrants. They're coming from a different place with a different culture.
Oh, thank you for the tier 1 subscription, fake Alec Cal Parker. White Greaterate is white and racist. True.
Different religion. It's not the same as it was. So first, you have a qualitative difference. My ancestors, for the most part, I have 3 European grandparents from Ireland and Italy, 1 from Mexico. They came from Europe. They came from...
I've got European ancestors from Mexico. Makes perfect sense. Nick Fuentes, perfect sense. Vladimir says, my man, Nick Fuentes was pumping the quack up recently. I wonder where's this whole thing, I'm the real American and everyone who's coming to the US now are fake American goes.
From a society where there's a common ancestry, there's a common religion, common civilization. The people that have come in since 65, since Hart Celler, they're coming from China, India, the Northern Triangle, Mexico, Venezuela. And so first, they're just different people. Secondly, it's a
Titan Uranus says, to white nationalists, Italian isn't from Europe. Yeah. A lot of European people are not white, according to Nick Fuentes himself. Polish people are not white. The plight of the self-hating Mexican. True. It's not good. It's not good.
Quantitative difference. There's way more, and it's an unceasing, always increasing wave.
Yeah, because it was super controlled, you know. The wave of immigration at the turn of the century, you know, years upon years ago, that was the controlled wave of immigration. There was not a constant wave. You know, it was all orderly, and it was just like the good Catholics and Christians coming in. Because there certainly was not a whole wave of Chinese immigrants coming in. You know the history of Chinatown? The bloody history of Chinatown. Is anybody familiar with that? Of that whole bloody affair, how Chinatown came to be? how it was born out of the will of the Chinese people to survive. That's a thing that we should talk about at some point.
For the first 3 or 4 waves of immigration, you would have a major influx of immigrants and then it would stop. And then you'd have another.
Oh, so TLDR. Basically, Chinese people lived in a segregated area, which the government hated. They were very isolated. They spoke Chinese. They cultivated the traditions from China, the Chinese dishes, etc. And so the government started spreading rumors that this community just is a source of disease, unhygienic practices, bad culture, etc. You know the drill, the classic racism playbook of their culture is just bad and we should get rid of them from this area, disperse them, and just throw them to the winds. And then there was a very deadly earthquake which destroyed a lot of that area. The US government basically provided zero assistance, zero humanitarian assistance. A lot of people died. And that is when the government decided this is our chance to clean this place up, get rid of all those Chinese people from here, and make away with the trouble that we have been dealing with for so long. That was the perfect chance for us to seize upon the opportunity to get rid of these people from this area. And the Chinese people that were rebuilding decided to create on their own the most stereotypical idea of what Westerners would think China is. That would be very much catering to tourists and people that would come and find it very exotic, very cool, very everything that does not represent actual factual Chinese culture. And so they did it. They took that risk. They took that gamble. The place became very popular. And so the government decided to spare it basically and not go with their plan to cleanse the area, quote unquote, because it became a very popular tourist spot. That's basically the TLDR of Chinatown.
Wave and then it would stop. This one, it just keeps going up for 35 years and it's too many. So that's really where I would draw the distinction between maybe where I originate from. I would even just simply call that immigration. What this is an invasion. It's a completely different policy.
But you mentioned,
can't even call it the same thing.
You mentioned,
yeah, exactly. The old immigration was good, constructive. They were my relatives, the Europeans from Mexico, and they built America. That was good. And the current immigration is different, bad, destructive, and it's an invasion. You know, as long as I can call this one invasion and that one something else, it's totally different, and I can keep it consistent in my head and not be called out for being an idiot or a hypocrite. It's all good. It's just there's nothing to worry about, actually. Actually, it's all perfectly good.
to Mexico in that list, and your father is half Mexican. So
yeah,
I mean, by your criteria, part of the invasion would include your father, presumably, and his immediate descendants who came from Mexico.
Not really true.
Not really true, because he was one good Mexican, and you know, all the good Mexicans came into America before, and all that was left was all those dirty, horrible Mexicans that are invading now. So actually, there's no inconsistency here, Piers.
As when my father's ancestors came here, it was a small fraction of the total immigrants that came from Mexico. I don't believe that we should have zero immigrants forever, or even zero immigrants from non-white countries.
Just the good ones.
You have to draw the distinction. My father's father, he was here in the 40s and 50s. It was his parents, or I believe either his parents or grandparents, that came here even earlier. Up until 1965, 90% of the immigrants were coming from Europe. I have no problem with that. If we have 10% of them coming from Mexico or Latin America, maybe that's reasonable, but that's not what it is now. Now you've got 10 million illegals in 4 years under Joe Biden.
All of them from
and
Mexico.
You got millions more legal immigrants from China.
Of course, as long as they meet my made-up quota, it's all good. And when it's some other quota, it's not good anymore, and it's an invasion, because that makes perfect sense somehow.
Venezuela, El Salvador, and it's so many with no break for assimilation, and they're all from non-white countries.
What does that mean, no break for assimilation? That makes no sense. They're not all clumping up in a single enclaves. It's just, what does break for assimilation even mean? That's stupid.
It's transforming what America is. And again, that's the distinction. That's what makes it unacceptable.
Yeah, countries transform all the time. That's an empty argument. America now is not the America that was 100 years ago, 200 years ago. No country stays the same.
I always believe everybody is a product of their environment. Right? I've interviewed thousands of people.
Piers Morgan's a communist. Okay, go figure. Koi Tecos says, well, Mexico is the last stop, therefore all my Guatemala brethren are now fellow Mexicans. True. That is true, without a doubt.
3, 4, 5,000 people from all different walks of life. But the one common theme I would say is everyone's a product of their environment. And
Commie.
I was reading some stuff about you in the last few days. There was an episode of your podcast where you talked about your father, Bill Fuentes, and how he wouldn't take the family, including you, to certain restaurants because he believed they were associated with African Americans.
Oh, snap. This dad was a raging racist. What a shocker. Who could have predicted such a predicament, such a twist in the narrative? I would have never predicted this. Look at his smile. He looks so gleefully here. I wonder why. I wonder what brought this smile on his face. Ah, yeah, I remember those fond childhood memories. I turn around and says, Piers Morgan is woke. Vladimir says, oh, don't worry, Lucy. He's just soy jacking and posting. Nick is doing a common 4chan thing.
Deciding where to go to eat, you said. What are we going to do for...
Why is he so happy? God. All of a sudden, he became so happy, like a little child that is about to receive a big reward.
Tonight. It was a running joke. Me and my sister would say Applebee's, and my dad would say we would never eat at Applebee's. Not in a million years should you be caught dead, Fuentes said about Applebee's. Go to a different restaurant, a local restaurant. No Applebee's, no Red Lobster. That is commonly known as black fare.
What? This is so stupid.
Another story about your family and restaurants. Said before,
racism is so stupid.
and my sister were born, my family had a saying about Olive Garden that contains the N-word that we're not allowed to say. So my question, based on that anecdote that you say on your own podcast, is do you think you grew up in a racist environment? That your father was inherently...
Absolutely not, Piers. We're just memeing, joking. It was like love tapping, basically. We were love tapping the black community.
Racist, and that
no.
thought process moved to you.
No.
Well, I would say it's a new low. I've been attacked for being a racist many times, but to attack my father, to attack my parents based on anecdotes, I would say that's sort of a new low.
Hang on, it's your anecdote.
Oh my God. Why would anybody attack me for my parents for being racist when I said that my parents were racist? How dare you? After I said all my racist stories about my dad, how dare you call him racist?
Yeah, but he's not here to defend himself.
You are.
What? That's just stupid, okay? Is he calling him... Is Nick Fuentes calling himself a liar? Like, my dad's not here to protect himself from what I said. I might be lying. You don't know. Conrad says, it's so boring listening to attention seekers like him. I need just some dumb people doing it for the love of the game.
My parents are
You told
public
the story.
people, and I will, and I'll
I'm
defend
not trying
them.
to
I'll
ambush you.
defend
As I
them.
said at the start, Nick, to be clear.
No, it's not an ambush,
Nick,
but
to be clear,
I think
I'm
everybody
not
understands.
ambushing you. I'm
I'm ambushing you.
literally reading an anecdote that you revealed on your podcast. It's you that's put it in the public domain.
I know.
I'm simply asking you whether my assessment of that, which is that your father
I know. I just lied.
didn't want to take you to certain restaurants because of what you refer to as, they were commonly known as black fare, whether that
Yeah, no, I heard
attitude,
it the
whether that
first time.
attitude to African Americans in that instance permeated to you. It's a reasonable question.
Yeah, no, like I said, I think everybody knows what that is, but I'll address it. I'll engage with it, and I'll defend my father from the charge of racism.
Sure.
No, my parents are not racist, and they've never been racist.
Just because they avoided all black establishments, avoided black people, went to the other side of the street whenever a black person was passing by, it doesn't mean that my parents were racist. Not at all.
I'll tell you about my parents. They used to have a school in Chicago in the South Loop where they instructed people on how to shoot firearms. It was a security school, and most of the clients were black.
Okay. What the fuck is that supposed to tell me? Hitler worked with Jewish businesses. Are they racist? What did they do? It was already explained. If you weren't paying attention, then I cannot help you, Conrad. I cannot help you if you were not listening to Piers Morgan and Nick Fuentes.
And I believe actually one of their clients was Larry Hoover's son at one point, sort of a funny story. And so most of their clients would come in from the south side of Chicago. My grandmother, she grew up in the projects in the city. And so my family being in Chicago,
My parents could not have been racist. They had a business that had black clients. That doesn't mean anything.
ethnics, being Italian, Irish, Mexican in the West Side on Taylor Street, all over the city. My family for many generations have lived near and around black people. And look, my views about black people and their views about black people are shaped with experiences.
Well, consider writing faster. I know you're frustrated, but there's no need for insults. You should drink some herbal medicine to calm your nerves.
And what they will tell you, what my parents would say if they were here, is that for many, many years, the older generations of black people were very respectful.
Oh, so it's like with immigration. Black people before were good, respectful folk that were hardworking, good citizens, and now black people are bad hooligans or something along these lines. Okay, it's very different.
Very humble, very decent. In fact, my grandma used to have an anecdote. She grew up in a lot of dysfunction. Her mother was mentally ill, and they would be having dinner in the projects.
I will probably this week take some estrogen. Thank you.
And there'd be so much chaos and dysfunction and disagreement and fighting. And she would look across the way out the window at a black family in the other apartment, and they'd be holding hands around the table saying grace. And this is sort of the culture that used to prevail.
Hello, Rob Fortune.
But now what you have in the city is that there's no
And hello, Hrundo. Sorry for not addressing the Twitch chat. Those are, in fact, two intellectual giants.
Accountability for the black people. And now Chicago has become a complete dump because these teenagers go out and they take over the city. They call them teen takeovers. That's the euphemism for it. They're teenagers, but they all come from the same neighborhood. They drive up there.
I told you, black people before were good, respectful folk, and now black people are just bad. It's like with immigration. Immigration before was good, respectful, and correct, and the immigration now is an invasion. It all fits the narrative. It all makes perfect sense.
People and attack people, and they destroy cars and destroy shops. We had the Festival of Lights a couple of weeks ago. It's supposed to be a family event. and they light up the trees, and there's a big parade. I was in the parade one year, and you had a bunch of black people there shooting each other. 7 people shot, a 14-year-old killed in the Magnificent Mile. And I know there's a lot of black people that feel the same way about this. They say, we've lost control of the city, and we're looking for accountability. We have a lot of black people that are always outraged about racism, outraged about attitudes from white people, but they're never ashamed of some of these behaviors, never ashamed of some of the things that go on. And that's why I think there's a lot of negative attitudes these days. And so,
are white people ashamed for any crime committed by a white person? That is such a weird thing to say.
Again, I think those attitudes, you say I'm a product of my environment. I am. And so are my parents and my grandparents. Unlike you, because you're not even American, in Chicago, we have to live in a big, diverse city.
Anyone who's not American is not a product of their environment, is what Nick Fuentes just said.
Where there's a lot of different kinds of people. And I think anybody in Chicago will tell you the same.
I live in London. It's one of the biggest and most diverse cities in the world.
But it's not the same.
Well, actually, it's a big, diverse city. The only difference is we don't have the gun violence because we don't have guns. That's a whole different story. I don't want to get into that with you. I have got into that before in America.
You got a knife problem. You got sword problems.
We have problems
you
with
have Aladdin.
We have problems with violent crime. I make no pretense of it. So the idea that somehow I'm cosseted in London because I'm not in Chicago.
I didn't say that.
Well, you kind of implied it. But I guess my point about the environment, I'm not saying you are a product of your environment. I'm saying most people are in some capacity.
Old people, who's not a product of their environment? What do you mean most people are? Who's not? Give me an example of a person that's not a product of their environment. What? Why would you say that?
When I read that anecdote, it's just to remind you, it's not something I have put out there. You told this story, right? And you said that
you said this. We're looping. You said this already.
But you haven't really directly, I think, responded to it, which is whether you're...
Oh, my God. He's being held to the fire. He's been held. Please respond.
Would not take you to certain restaurant chains because he associated them with black Americans. Is that true?
No, well...
Are you a liar? That's basically the question. Did you lie to us before? Titan Uranus official. I'm a contrarian product of my environment. Well.
See here, if you're in America, you would say that Olive Garden is not real Italian food. Applebee's, TGI Fridays, this stuff is a load of crap. My dad was just a food stop, but no, it's got nothing to do with that. My best friend in first grade was a black guy. We're not a racist family. So.
Oh, there you go. I cannot be a racist. I've got a black friend. Reza Nisai says an idiot versus a Nazi. That is a good description actually of what's going on here. That is a pretty good description. They're using all the classics, all the good old classics. I cannot be a racist. I got a black friend.
Okay, so when you told the story, I'm just curious. So when you told that anecdote, which clearly on the face of it is racist, right? You're basically saying your father made racist decisions about where you would go as a family to eat. Are you saying, well, I'm just going to ask you a question. Are you saying that when you told that story, you didn't mean to infer that he was racist?
Are you saying that you were lying back then, or are you lying now? Which is it? Are you lying now, or were you lying then? That's the question.
Why, when somebody like me reads that anecdote for the first time, as I did this week, I reach a different conclusion?
Are you a liar?
Well, I understand what you're doing, which is a sort of making of a murderer. How did he become racist? Well, his father didn't eat an Olive Garden because he said that's not real Italian food. Hang on, can I? What's with the interruptions? Can I explain?
I'm literally reminding you of something you said on your show, which led me to conclude a certain thing. If I'm wrong, tell me.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just saying in jest that my parents were racist, so we were lying. Like, Piers Morgan should be more direct with this crap. He'd be like, oh, okay, so you lied to us. Okay? You lied to us. That's it. You're either a liar now or you were a liar then. That's all that there is to it. That is what Piers Morgan should be doing here. Olive Garden is microwave Italian, but yeah.
It was said in jest as a humorous anecdote, and now you're trying to spin it into a narrative, which is his parents are racist. He comes from a long line of racists. And I think everybody knows.
When you give us a fun anecdote about your parents being racist, oh my gosh, how could anybody come to the conclusion that your parents are gasp racist? This is like, what do you expect? What are you expecting when you give fun little anecdotes about your parents being racist? Yeah, I'm going to come to the conclusion that your parents are racist.
My parents are boomers. And these people come, well, you're a boomer, I guess, too, in a way,
60.
right? You were born in
60.
19? Yeah, so you're a boomer also. Or maybe you're a Gen Xer. I suppose it's sort of on the cusp. But it's a humorous anecdote. These are kind of the attitudes of baby boomers in society, but you're trying to spin it into a narrative, which is you're a product of your environment. Your dad's racist because
I simply said that my parents avoided any establishment run by black people, and you're twisting it to say that my parents were racist. What the fuck?
because of this joke. Now you're a racist, and I don't think that's a fair characterization.
Okay. People can make their own minds up. They can go back and listen to you say it. I mean, the beauty of what I'm going to talk to you about in this interview is that almost all of it is just going to be reminding you what you have said and asking you what you meant. Your position about that story is that it was a joke, okay? I want to come to something else you said. This is where you talk about Jews, women, and blacks. Let's just take a listen.
They're always coming up with, no, it's not the Jews. No, it's not women. No, it's not blacks. It's actually really complicated. No, it fucking isn't at all.
Wow. Whoa. How can you take these humorous little words, those haha said in jest words, and spin them to say that Nick Fuentes is racist? Come on.
Jews are running society. Women need to shut the fuck up. Blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part.
Oh, I said these words in jest. Come on. Come on, Piers. You're not gonna twist these humorous little words against me, are you now? What are you implying? That I'm an anti-Semite, sexist, racist? Come on. You're not being honest with me, Piers. You're being very manipulative. You're using manipulated footage. Holy shit.
And we would live in paradise. It's that simple.
Okay. Would you like to clarify what you meant?
Would you like to comment? Thoughts? Thoughts? Please?
No?
That's all true. That's 100% true. Everything I said in that clip is true.
Including that blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part.
Yeah.
How dare you say that my parents were racist and that I'm racist as well? So black people should be imprisoned for the most part? Yeah. Fuck me, man. You can make this up. I bet he thinks that he looks good. Quiteko says, how could that possibly be interpreted that way? To stop short of saying the N-word and instigating a Holocaust. Vladimir says, but what does he really mean by that? Isn't Piers also racist? Probably. Probably. God, I cannot believe this.
Yes.
Yeah.
But all of them?
No, for the most part.
What does the most part mean? What percentage
98%.
of American blacks would you like to see in prison?
Whatever the percentages of the murderers. I think it's 1 in 20 black men will commit a murder in their lifetime. So maybe let's say that, 5%.
Oh, so you're talking about black people who murder people?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But you didn't say that.
That's
You
the
just
crime
said
problem.
need to be imprisoned for the most part. You didn't clarify that you were talking about black murderers.
Right. No, you're right. That's a good addition to that. That's a great point.
Do you think it's funny or?
I think, yeah, I do. I think it's hilarious. I think it's totally true.
Do you think a black American would find it funny? You think that blacks should be imprisoned for the most part?
Blacks are my biggest fans. I get high fives all the time. They say, Nick Fuentes, I love your show. They agree with me. And you want to know.
Oh, wow. There are people that agree with me. That must mean I'm not racist, right? If people agree with me. If people agree with my racism, that means that there's no racism to be found. What the fuck? Semantic wizard. God damn. You won. There are people that agree with you. That must mean that there's no racism happening.
Why? Here's the difference.
No way.
Black people are the most victimized by other black people. You think black people want to live in the hood and the ghetto and get shot all the time? That's what happens in the south side of Chicago. You should come here. I'll take you there. We could go to Garfield Park.
My son
we could
went
go
to Chicago
Inglewood.
University for a year, actually, several years ago.
Yeah, that's a bubble. That's a bubble. You think you're in Chicago and Hyde Park? You don't know Chicago. Go a little bit west. See what it's like over there.
There are apparently many people of color living in Maryland, and it's fine. So I don't know where this weird racist argument comes from. I mean, I do know, but, you know.
And I'll tell you, black people agree with me because they're tired of it too. And maybe not most of them, but a lot of them agree with what I say about that because they know how it is. That's why the first thing they do when they make a little bit of money is they go and leave to another neighborhood.
Okay, so what was just remind me again, the percentage of black men who commit murder in America. What was the percentage you gave me?
It's 1 in 20. 1 in 20.
It's 1 in 100.
No, it's 1 in 20.
No. Less than 1 in 100 black US men commit murder. That's the most up-to-date crime statistics in America.
That's not true. I've seen other statistics. They say
Your crime statistics are lying to me. They're invalidating my racism, and therefore it's fake. Fake news. Where's your source, Piers? What's your source? God damn.
a 1 in 20 will eventually commit a murder.
So your rate means that you're saying that 5 times as many black men commit murder as the official crime statistics say?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a report, I believe, on X by Data Hazard. I'll have to go and double check that for you. But yes, there's some pretty shocking evidence that says that it's far more alarming
The
than
hell
you
is
would think.
Data Hazard? And how is it better than official data? Data Hazard from Twitter. Of course.
Okay, but you would accept that the official crime statistics are 1 in 100? Or you wouldn't accept that statistic?
I don't know. I don't have it in front of me, but I've
Official statistics are fake and gay.
seen other evidence. Like I said, Data Hazard on X, I believe, produced a report about
What is Data Hazard? We're going to have to look it up, I guess. What is Data Hazard? What is Data Hazard? I mean on Twitter. Maybe I'll add that on what is Data Hazard org on Twitter? There you go. Datahazards.org is a community project that creates a shared vocabulary and tools for identified ethnic. A community project that creates a shared vocabulary and tools for identifying ethical risk, worst case scenarios in data science. I cannot find the. I would have to find the. I guess I cannot find it.
a year ago, it said 1 in 20. But I mean, whether it's 1 in 20 or 1.
Vladimir says, actually, when Nick Fuentes became a president, the official statistics becomes a president. The official statistics are going to be 1 in 2 black men commit murder. True. Hello, Emily. That is true. This is going to be the new official.
That's a lot of people, Piers. I mean,
sure,
this is
a lot
real
of white
problem.
people commit murder too. What do they do?
We all know white people never killed anybody. Come on, Piers. Don't be a racist. Don't be an anti-white racist.
Okay, but it's about proportionality. I mean, white people are 65% of the population. Blacks are 13%. And I think anybody would tell you that more black people proportionally commit violent crime than white people, and people vote with their feet. People would rather pay a much higher property tax.
Most mass
what's
shootings.
with the interruptions?
I'm sorry.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You know, you look at in Chicago, in New
What the fuck?
York, these neighborhoods are so stratified. People would rather pay a high tax rate. They'd rather pay a much higher property value to live in a less diverse, less black neighborhood because they don't want to live around the violence. And I think that when you look at even on the public transit, the subway, the blue line, you know, people don't want to go there because they know who occupies and menaces the public transit. It is these people like Daniel Penny had to deal with. It's people like Irina Zarutska had to deal with. And that's just the uncomfortable reality.
You've also said you don't want to live near black people. Let's take a listen to this clip.
I'm a new generation of white person. I'm not living around blacks. Sorry. You know,
I'm not racist, though. There's not a racist bone in my body.
I want white kids, and I don't want my white kids bringing home black people to marry. It's racial for me. And call me racist. Oh, very Christian of you. I don't give a
What the fuck, man? Just because I'm racist, it doesn't mean that you get to call me a racist. Oh, okay. Thank you for the clarification, Emily. But Nick Fuentes is not racist, as we have established.
fuck.
I mean, it couldn't be clearer, really, unless you want to say that's another of your jokes. But you're basically saying, yeah, I'm a racist, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
You're fine with saying you're a racist?
Totally. I think everybody's racist. I think.
So wait, what the fuck? Why did you say earlier that Piers Morgan was twisting your words and calling you a racist when right now you just said that you were proudly a racist? What? What the? What?
Everybody, if we're being honest, is racist. I think everybody, the only people that aren't racist.
This is so incoherent. How is he popular? How is this guy so popular? Oh, come on, Piers, you're twisting my words. You're calling my parents racist because they never wanted to go to any establishments run by black people. And now you're calling me racist by extension, by twisting everything, my jokes. And now he's just saying, oh yeah, I'm racist. And everybody is racist. Everybody is. Tatan Ramos official says, good Lord, I never actually listened to him. Well, you know, now you are. Now you're getting a glimpse to the mindset. How dare you call me a racist? Actually, I'm a racist.
Or pretend not to be our white people to their detriment. Everybody else is racist.
But earlier in the interview, you went...
No, not everybody else is a racist, okay? I'm sorry, but no. Vladimir says, racism equals being honest. Got him. Yeah, this is just stupid. I just cannot believe how stupid this is. Hey, everybody, I'm a racist, therefore everybody has to be, right? Right? Everybody's just like me. Quietly, silently, secretly. Everybody's identical to me. Oh, wait, I forgot. I'm Polish and Jewish, so I'm super not white. And I forgot that Nick Fuentes super extra does not count me as white. Also, Vladimir, while we're at it, you're not white either. You are Ukrainian, so you are extra not white as well. Okay, according to Nick Fuentes here.
Really got aggrieved at the idea that your father was a racist. You You wanted to make
Yeah,
emphatically
because
sure
my father's.
He's not.
Because my father doesn't share my same views on that.
So he's the exception to the everyone's a racist.
Oh my God, Nick Fuentes is such a dumbass. I swear to God. I swear to God.
Well, everybody's a little bit racist. You're right. So maybe everybody. The difference is you're attacking my father. You know, he could get fired from his job.
I'm not attacking your father.
You are.
No, I'm not. I don't know your father. And to be clear, I have no knowledge about him at all.
Well, then let's leave him out of it.
Well,
Let's leave him out of it if you don't know him.
Hang on, Nick. You put that story into the public domain on your show. I'm simply reminding you of what you told everybody, millions of people, about your father. If you now want to retract it, fine. If you want to say it was a joke, which is what your position was earlier, fine. But I'm allowed to put to you things you've said publicly. That's not unfair. That's not me targeting your father. You put that story about him out
You know
there.
what you're doing. You know what you're doing.
I'm asking you about a pretty shocking anecdote, which to me looked like you were saying your father made decisions about where
You know what you're doing. You're putting me to task for what I said. How dare you? Also, everybody's racist, but not my father. Everybody's a little bit racist. Oh, Piers, what are you doing to me?
family would eat based on skin color of people who worked at these places. If you say, or use them, if you say that is not what you meant, that's fine. You can respond any way you like.
That's true.
The idea I can't ask you about it.
That is true, Rob Fortune. We're the only people that are not
without you
racist.
saying I'm attacking your father is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. It is a bit.
Well, you are, and you know what you're doing. And there's a political culture in America where if you have the wrong views, you get fired from your job. And my father
Oh, okay.
has a job. And if you go on here and say you charge him with racism or something, and I'm put in a position where I don't look like I'm sticking to my guns if I don't say my father's a racist, you're putting him
But you said that everybody's racist. If everybody's racist, that includes your dad, doesn't it?
in jeopardy. And he's not here to defend himself or explain his views. And it's very low. And I think you know exactly what you're doing, and people can see what you're doing. I'll defend my views. And I think that, you know, so let's leave him out of it. Let's just not talk about my father, because my father isn't here. I'm here.
Okay, well,
I'll
then do you
defend
accept
my
that you
views,
shouldn't
and I'll
talk?
defend
Okay,
the anecdote.
listen, that's fine. But then do you accept you shouldn't talk about your father on your show? And you shouldn't tell...
Absolutely not. Absolutely
so
not.
it's fine for you to put a story out there which would make most people who listened to that story or watched it at the time on your show conclude that he was racist. It's fine.
He's being grilled. He's being grilled, and it's rightfully so. Nick Fuentes is actually extremely stupid from what I'm seeing. He seems to think that he's very smart, but he's actually pretty stupid. And this guy's popular. Oh my God. There's a resurgence of Nick Fuentes' popularity actually right now. A big resurgence, and it's just
you
depressing.
To do that. But if I then ask you about it, I'm the one who's being unfair and I've crossed a line. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you're
That's
being
fine.
malicious.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Listen, people are watching this live. They can draw their own conclusions about whether what I just
And they
did.
will.
Yeah, and I'm
and they
sure
will.
afterwards, by the way, you'll say, he ambushed me with your
No,
own,
no,
with your
no,
own
no,
words.
whoa.
With your own words.
That's a little presumptuous. I'm not going to say it's an ambush, but I think that's a low blow. And I think you know what you're doing, and that's fine. You're a tabloid journalist. I expected that. I don't think it's an ambush because I knew it would be like this. And people will see what you're doing, and I think they'll say it's low. But as far as
No, it's
you
not.
want to talk about racism,
I do.
Let's talk about racism.
As much as I dislike Piers Morgan, that's not low. Asking you to clarify what you meant when you talked about your father being racist, that's not exactly a low blow to ask you for clarification on your own words. If you're not prepared to clarify your own words, then don't say them. It's as simple as that.
Okay,
let's leave my dad out of it.
Look, you've admitted you're a racist, correct?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
Own it.
Okay, that's fine. You're perfectly entitled in a free democratic society to stare down the barrel of his camera and tell me you're a racist. People can judge you accordingly. Many people who have assumed that you're a racist will now have heard it from your own lips. That's fine.
There you go.
That's the point. The point of this interview is to go over the things you've said, which have led people to reach conclusions about you, and to ascertain whether those conclusions are fair and reasonable or not. That's it.
Thank
so I want
you.
to play you another clip. This is what you talk about why white people are justified in being racist. Let's take a listen to this.
First, white people are every single bit justified in being racist. Every single bit justified, to the extent that that means going out of your way to avoid black people when you see them.
Oh. Well, that's an interesting that really complements the whole story about your parents avoiding all black establishments, doesn't it? Interesting. What is he going to say now? And how does that differ from his dad's views? Is he said that his dad has different views on this, but the views just seem identical to me.
You stand by
Absolutely.
that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So white people should go out of their way to avoid black people when they see them.
Like your parents did.
Absolutely. They would be wise.
Why?
Because it's a lose-lose proposition. If you're Irina Zarutska and you don't walk the other way, you get stabbed to death and you die. If you're somebody else and you walk on the subway and you stand near a black person or something, maybe it's fine. It's a lose-lose proposition.
What? With that logic, you should just avoid people, period. Because there's always a chance that it's going to turn out to be a lunatic that'll kill you. You should just never leave your house and never just avoid contact with any people, period, by that logic.
So no, I think that white people have been beaten into submission, that we're afraid to tell the truth about it. And the truth is that when you go into these major cities like New York.
Also, I keep forgetting my place. I'm not even white, so according to Nick Fuentes. So I keep forgetting that I'm one of the undesirables. I'm one of the non-white people that should be, I don't know. I'm not sure if Polish people should be avoided in Nick Fuentes' eyes, but I'm certainly not white, according to him.
Or Chicago, I believe she was in North Carolina. There is a menace, which is young, black, adolescent men. They're extremely violent. And we have been told that we have to pretend like they are every other person. We have to be colorblind to that. And we're supposed to go and be in the midst of all this danger. And I think that at this point, it's gotten out of control. You look at the BLM movement, they said that the reason that black people, are...
I encounter black people every single day. Well, not every single day because I don't leave the house every single day. But whenever I leave the house, I encounter black people. So just what? This is so stupid.
Violent, or the reason there's crime is because of police brutality, or redlining, or all these other things. They said we need to get rid of the police. We need to defund them. And a lot of cities did. A lot of cities...
Defunding the police does not mean getting rid of the police.
Like Chicago, for example, the police changed the rules of engagement. They don't chase them. It's not a felony if you steal a certain amount of merchandise. They won't chase them on foot. And now the city's totally up for grabs. And now, whether you're in the Gold Coast or whether
I don't believe any of this,
or you're in the worst neighborhoods in the city, you might get shot, you might get mugged, someone might run up on you. And I tell my followers, it is better to be perceived as racist or racist and walk the other way and maybe keep your life than to say, I'm a good anti-racist. I don't mind that this person's making me uncomfortable. Maybe he's looking a little froggy. I'm going to sit down because I'm a good person and get stabbed, mugged, whatever. And by the way, this is a strategy. They call it the friendly stranger. There's
Why?
a crew of them. They do this in Chicago. They stand outside bars, black people. They approach strangers. It's a robbery crew. And they pretend to be a friendly stranger, and then they mug them. And stupid white people say, oh, hi, yeah, nice to meet you. You know, they grin, they laugh, they put up with the nonsense, and then they get mugged. Or worse.
What?
Sometimes they get executed.
Out
And so
of
as a white
interest,
person...
How do you feel
They get
about-
executed? What the fuck? What kind of an America am I hearing about? Friendly stranger, executed, mugged, white people grin and smile. What the fuck is happening? I'm trying to picture this interaction that is being described to me.
about mass shootings at school?
I think they're bad.
Who do you think commits the vast majority of the mass shootings?
I'm sure
in
it's
schools?
white people.
Right. So how do you feel about that?
White people should stay away from schools.
I think that white people do more antisocial violence. I think black people participate in more gang violence. I think that's the difference.
What the fuck is the difference between antisocial violence and gang violence?
What's the difference to the victims?
There's no difference to the victim, but it's a different kind of crime. And it's a different proportion also. Do you know what percentage of white people are school shooters?
I know that the vast majority of mass shootings in schools in America this century were perpetrated by young white men. And I'm just
what proportion of
and
what proportion?
I'm curious.
What proportion?
I'm curious whether your advice would be to people who have kids in
Wait,
these
is my
schools.
mic working?
What
proportion?
What proportion of what?
Avoid
The population?
Should they avoid white people at school? Should people with the kids at school avoid young white men at school?
No.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you know what per capita means? Do you know proportionality? There are more black people proportionally that engage in violent crime or are involved in gangs, especially in these major cities, than there are white people that are school shooters compared to the entire white population. And everybody understands that.
Two-thirds of mass shootings at school perpetrated by white people.
But what proportion of white men commit school shootings? That's the question.
I've just told you. It's 60 to 65% of school shootings by white people.
You're telling me what proportion of school shootings are committed by white people. I'm saying what proportion of white people have committed school shootings. Are you playing dumb or are you just not that smart?
What difference
What's
does
the
that make
difference?
to the children lying dead on the ground?
See, now you want to jump on the victims. The difference is you're asking, would you fear white people or black people? And that's the difference.
I don't fear people. Oh, what the fuck? People are not statistics. Going by statistics when meeting people individually is stupid. People are not statistics. Vladimir says black people in America are committing butcher every single day. Butcher every single day. Well, actually, what we're hearing now is just a fortune user's fantasy. True. Listen, this is so stupid. The whole conversation is just stupid. Yeah, we should just treat everything in terms of statistics and never leave our house and never encounter people, you know?
No, I'm not. What I'm saying to you is, by your logic, if we now have agreed that the vast majority of mass shootings in schools are committed by white people and predominantly young white men, then presumably your advice would be to avoid young white men because they perpetrate these massacres. But it won't be because they're white, right?
It doesn't matter how many per capita. It matters that if they're near a school, then there's a probability that, they might commit a shooting.
So are you playing dumb or are you actually dumb?
Maybe
it's
I'm
about
dumb.
proportionality.
Maybe I'm dumb.
You are because I don't think you are dumb. I think you're smart actually, but you're deliberately avoiding per capita. And everybody knows that's the difference. What proportion of white men are school shooters? It's probably 0.00001%. What proportion of black men have committed violent crimes? It's probably like 5%. I don't know what it is off.
5. Wait, you want to be afraid of all black people over 5% of black people committing? Okay, I expected a bigger percentage out of them. I actually expected a little bit of...
Top of my head, but it's very high. And I would add to that,
5% is not very high.
As it concerns schools, why do you think parents pay a super high property tax to live in a school district where there's white people? Because they know that if they go to the black school, it's going to be the Bloods and the Crips. It's going to be gangs. It's going to be, you talk
they just know. They just know that's going to be the case. This is such a low effort conversation. Does it have anything to do with the schools being underfunded, with, people being the product of their environment. Vladimir says, that's right. What Morgan just said, what he just proposed is to never leave your house. I mean, I guess you should, because there's always a probability that you'll meet a nutcase that will just murder you. Just don't leave your house, I guess.
About school shootings, nobody talks about all the school shootings that are committed by gangbangers in and around the school and all the other violence that's associated with that. I mean, these schools in the south side of Chicago, you know, it's just
gangbangers.
I have an answer for you, Nick. So the proportion of the population who carry out mass shootings is actually the same for black and white.
For white people, the proportion of
the proportion
again,
of the population.
are you hearing it? No.
See,
What's
I
the
think the trouble with your
proportion?
statistics is a lot of them don't bear much scrutiny. We have a bunch of fact checkers checking all this in real time, because you do have a tendency to just come out with a lot of old baloney. When you say, you know,
okay,
well, it's true.
Okay. You're gonna fact check my data. Oh no. Bro, anti 5% of black people. Are you? But like, I honestly expected a bigger percentage out of him. Like, hey, do you know how many? Who you know the percentage of black people that commit violent crimes? Do you know the amount? It's 5%. I'm like, really? That's supposed to make me afraid of all black people. That's supposed to make me avoid contact with any black person. You're stupid. You're a very stupid person.
And when you're confronted with reality, you don't like it.
What's the figure? What proportion of white people have committed school shootings? With white people as the denominator and white people that have committed school shootings as the numerator, what's that percentage?
For both black and whites, the proportion of the population who carry out mass shootings generally is about the same.
No. Tell me the number, and then
the only focus of your attention is the black shootings, the black crime. You don't want to live around black people. You want to avoid black people. You don't want interracial marriages or relationships that may produce black people.
What the fuck?
When I point out to you that there are many parts of crime in America where actually there's a majority of white people that perpetrate them, you don't care. You don't have any interest in that. It doesn't exercise your mind. Maybe
lightning strike probability racism, says Tekos.
No one's
Maybe
buying this. This
kids.
argument lost. No one is buying this. Everybody understands per capita, and people can even see what you race ahead and say, well, we're comparing the proportion of white and black school shooters. I said, no, compare the proportion of school shooters that are white versus violent criminals that are black, because that
why would you, what? That makes no, why would you compare two different types of crimes? Why would you compare one type of crime versus all violent crime? What the fuck? What? Piers Morgan has to point it out. He has to say that it's stupid to compare one specific type of crime to all forms of violent crime. No?
was the basis of the monologue, is that you're very likely, if you encounter black people or a young black man in the city, that
5%, very likely.
That you're going to be the victim of a violent crime.
5% is such a high probability. Crazy.
A robbery, a mugging,
crazy.
A car theft, a carjacking, or a murder. That's the difference, and it's about proportionality. And everybody sees past that because we all live in reality. You want to talk about product of your environment?
I'm just starting to think that Americans just do not grasp percentages. And by Americans, I mean far-right Americans like Nick Fuentes or Trump. They just don't grasp. You know what? I'll retract what I said. Far-righters in general don't understand percentages because just today, I read a Polish rant about the European Union where the Polish person said that a huge amount of 25% of Polish people want to leave the European Union, and only 69% want to remain. So you know what? I take that back. All right-wing people, all far-right people do not understand percentages, regardless of their nationality. I take that back. I retract my statement.
Environment, people that live in New York, Chicago, LA, we live in reality. We live in this environment and we see what it's like. And
Yeah, you live in your own reality. What about Maryland? That's a pretty diverse place. And I'm hearing that it's just fine. What is this? I'm sorry, I just hate racists. I just hate racists so much. Racism is just such a brainless, completely unsubstantiated, the most unsubstantiated nonsense that you can think of is racism. It's so skin deep. It's so shallow. It's just so stupid that part of me does not even want to entertain it. Part of me just want to dismiss it without any. It's just stupid. It's not up for debate. It's not up for discussion. It's just dismiss it right out of hand. It's infuriatingly stupid.
threat, the danger in terms of probability it's not even comparable. And I would say this to your point. If you're in a high school and truly, if you see a white person who looks like a little autistic, he's got the SSRI stare and he reaches for a backpack, people joke and say, run. Similarly, if you see a jalopy pulling up with a bunch of black people in it and they got their pants around the ankles, you're going to run also. And I'm saying the same thing. The difference is the latter happens much more often. It's much more common. You know, in Chicago, there's like 10,000 carjackings and car thefts every day. It's in the thousands.
Millions.
All the time. How many mass shootings committed by autistic SSRI white people? I don't even know. I mean, it's probably in the single digits in the last decade.
Why autistic in particular?
In the city. That's the difference, and everybody knows that. But you're really just trying to carry water for liberal ideology. It's an ideological position.
Liberal ideology? Liberal ideology is when you're not racist, I guess. Vladimir says, this is exactly why I'm watching it, because it's just that funny. But it's also infuriating.
I'm really not. I can absolutely say, yes, there is way.
I absolutely am against liberal ideology. I'm against those evil liberal democracies. I'm going to move to Russia tomorrow. Maybe Nick Fuentes should just move to Russia. He'd be happier there.
Way too much black on black crime, for example, involving guns in Chicago.
And black on white also.
Yes, but there is way too much gun violence in Chicago. Right? I mean, it's indisputable. I've got no problem saying that. The difference is I don't then lead myself into a thought process where I have to avoid all black people in case they shoot me. And you've already conceded that you are a racist. So when people hear you then say, I don't want to be living anywhere near black people, they already have heard you say, I'm a racist. So they assume you're doing that because of people's skin color. I don't think you would probably dispute that, right?
Yeah.
Well, you're separating two different things. The monologue when I said I don't want to live around black people, that was after Irina Zarutska got shot. And it's true. I mean, they are a largely in this city, in Chicago, the south side, the west side, huge criminal population. And I don't want to live anywhere near it. And I want to live in a white neighborhood. I think that that's extremely desirable. And I think even black people do.
Nick, you're perfectly entitled to that view. But when you have obviously...
Yeah, I'm gonna give a super hot take, I guess, in this current climate that we live in. I don't give a flying fuck of the racial makeup of my neighborhood. I really don't. If it's Asian people, black people, whatever people, I just don't care. I don't even meet my neighbors all that often anyway. This is so stupid. The fixation on race. Ridiculous.
Saying I am a racist unashamedly, then people will assume that all your thought processes about all
Yeah,
of
if you're a racist, then people will just somehow assume that you're racist. What a incredible.
issues are driven by an aversion to people based on their skin color, which is the purest personification
Of racism.
Well, it's not an aversion. I would say it's the opposite.
It's love. I love black people. Huge criminal population in this city. Can't even name the number. True. Oh my goodness. So pathetic.
Like my own people. My own people are familiar to me, and I think that's true across the board. I think that people seek out other people that are like themselves, and every other group does this, whether it's blacks, Hispanics, Asians. You know, I get a lot of attacks when I talk about that I'm against interracial marriage. And what's funny is that every other group is against interracial or
Oh, have I been censored? Have I been censored on Piers Morgan Uncensored? That's pretty interesting. I'm being censored by the uncensored.
ethnic marriage. Jews,
But you're the
Chinese,
product of an
Hispanics.
interracial marriage.
True.
Yeah, I mean, that's debatable.
Not
Let's say
really.
for the sake of
Not
argument,
really.
sure.
Oh,
No, you're
debatable.
the product of an interracial marriage, and your father is part Mexican. You're literally,
For the sake
you're
of
literally
argument, we
the
could
very
say sure.
person you've just told me you want to avoid.
What race is Hispanic? Is that a race?
What do you think it is?
I'm asking you, what race is Hispanic?
Hispanic. Of course it's a race. It's called Hispanic.
Isn't it just white? What the fuck? Oh my god. Oof.
It's a mix between two races. It's a mix between indigenous Americans
It's not
and
white, though,
Europeans.
is it? It's not white.
Well, you're apparently you're more of a racial purist than me. You got like
Not
a
really.
one-drop
You just
rule
keep
thing
saying you
going,
only want to live in a
kind of.
white neighborhood, but you're literally from a mixed race background yourself. You've literally
and I
got
live in
Mexican blood.
I know, and I live in a non-white neighborhood too. I'm trying to get out of here, though. But I'm trying to get out. But here's the thing.
Do you have any
As I was
non-white?
saying-
Do you have any non-white friends? Genuine question.
Most of my friends are non-white. Most of my friends are not, and non-white people
what
love my
the
show
fuck?
How many
because
are
they
black?
respect the honesty.
How many of your friends are black?
Many of them, like at least a dozen.
Wow.
Ye being one who
Yeah.
you know, Sneeko being another who you also know.
Yeah. And so how do they feel when you say you just want to be away from any black people, walk away from them?
Well, you know what Ye told me? I'll tell you verbatim what he said. That it doesn't come from a place of, and you use the word aversion. That's the first thing I'll actually dispute.
Okay.
It's not an aversion on the basis of skin color, because that would seem to suggest it's like a stubborn, irrational bigotry. I don't consider myself a bigot. I consider myself a racial realist. I'm realistic about how the races are, and I speak provocatively.
I'm not a bigot. I'm just a hyper racist. Oh my god. I'm just a Oh no. Oh no, no. Oh my god. I'm just a race realist.
About it, and I speak provocatively about our tribalistic instincts and tendencies as human beings. And I'm not a liberal ideologue that says that over time and with enough education, we're all going to see this great brotherhood where we're colorblind and everybody's the same. You know, I don't think that's ever going away. I think that race is real. It's not just skin deep. It matters.
Race is a social construct, first of all. Okay. This is some of the stupidest brain rotten things that I've ever heard. Racial realist, so a Hitlerite Fruit Loop. Yes, quite literally. Quite literally. Are we going to start hearing during this interview about racial IQ, differences in IQ, and crap like that? It's coming, isn't it? The IQ skull shapes. It's just we're gonna get the full treatment, aren't we? Race is real.
Matters to us and it matters to each other.
No, it does not.
And black people know that, and Hispanics know that, and Asians know that, and people like me that have.
Reza Linsai says race is a made-up concept. Nick, don't be stubborn. True, it is quite literally. It's not even a disputed fact at this point.
Partial Mexican ancestry. We know that too. And I think on that basis, we can have mutual respect and understanding, not aversion based on skin color.
The reason I use the word aversion.
How can you speak of respect when you're a self-appointed racist? That this is so ridiculous. Now you speak of respect after you've called yourself a racist that will avoid all black people like the plague?
Is you literally said that you should walk the other way if you see black people. That is an aversion to black people.
Socialix says, oh, hey, it's a Zionist fascist versus white identitarian, actual anti-Semite fascist. That's right. I'm treating you to a feast. I am treating you all to an intellectual feast. Feast for the giants. Vladimir says, I am melanin blind, bro. Reza says, I bet he reads Mein Kampf before he goes to bed. In original, okay, in German, even though he probably does not speak German, he just reads it like, I don't know, religiously.
Based on their skin color.
No, that's called economy of information. That's economy of information. That's safety. And I said in the same monologue, if you watch it, it's like, I feel sorry. The problem is you click.
It's called avoiding all black people because supposedly 5% of black people commit crime is just economy of information, you see. Makes perfect sense. That just makes so much sense, and it's not stupid at all.
Clip to 10 seconds. I don't know if you watched the whole show, but in that monologue, I said most black people are not violent or criminals.
Then why would you avoid all black people if most black people are not violent or criminals? Well, then you're just contradicting yourself.
And it's unfortunate that we're going to offend them when we turn and walk the other way. I said, but the problem is we don't know. We can't tell. And someone.
Well, again, then you should never leave your house because you never know. You never know with anybody. Any person that you meet on the street, no matter what their race, could be a potential murderer and just kill you, murk you on the spot. You should never meet anybody. You should avoid all human contact at all times, I guess. That would be the real economy of information.
Like Irina Zarutska, she sat down in front of a black man with her headphones in and wasn't paying
Just become a complete NEET. That's gonna solve all of your problems.
attention because she was being a good liberal and said, I'm not uncomfortable by this. I'm progressive. Then she got stabbed in the neck. And I said, it's unfortunate that you would have to sit behind the black man to be safe. And if he's not violent or schizophrenic, he might be offended by that. I said, but I would rather offend him than die.
How many deranged white men have committed atrocious acts of murder in the last 10 years in America?
Proportionally far fewer.
But
far fewer.
How many? Do you know how many?
You have a research team. You pull it up. I don't have it in front of me.
You're obviously extremely exercised by that one story, which was horrific for the record, absolutely horrific, and should never have happened. The person who perpetrated that evil act had a string of previous offences and should have been picked up more, and it should have been amplified more. I completely concur with all of that. But I just suspect you have no idea how many white people have committed similar crimes, do you?
No, because I know it's far fewer from experience.
Okay.
Because
oh,
it's
from
like
experience.
You said. Well, and hang on, and I would add to that.
I just know my statistics from experience. It's called the economy of experience statistics, Piers. And it makes perfect sense.
You know, Irina Zarutska wasn't the first one. That was also after Austin Metcalf was killed in Texas.
Sure.
After
But
Carmelo
how many
Anthony
times has it
stabbed
been
him in the neck.
perpetrated by white people?
Well, hang on. Let me finish my point.
But you're
And then not
implying that
only
white
did-
people don't do this. And my point to you, Nick
Okay.
Fuentes, is of
Yeah.
course,
Oh, I never said white people don't do
Of course,
it.
deranged white people commit heinous acts. But you don't either know.
disagreement.
You neither know nor care, or maybe both. Maybe you do know but don't care. You only seem to be focused on black people who commit crimes. And again, if you hadn't prefaced the whole debate about racism by openly conceding you are a racist, I could read other.
Nick Fuentes is predictably going to abuse per capita. Of course he is. Of course he is. The silliest thing that he has done in this is to say, oh yeah, 5% of all black people commit crimes and therefore you should avoid all black people. Piers Morgan is so useless. I mean,
connotations into
honestly, maybe it's a hot take on my part, but I think things like race realism, things like racism, they should honestly be not up to debate. These are just things that I consider not to be up to debate. They should be just mocked and dismissed, and that's it. Anytime you hear a person start to say that, oh, you should avoid all black people, you should just go and never meet with any black people because some arbitrary number commit crime, you should just, oh yeah, fuck off. That's just like, conversation's over, I don't care. You should just dismiss them outright. You should mock them. You should make them a mockery. You should laugh at them and call them stupid. You should not even entertain it as a serious thing, honestly. In my opinion.
what you've been saying. But once you've said, I'm a racist, and then you only talk about black crime,
it should be like people trying to argue that, I don't know, the sun is cold and actually produces no energy. It should be considered something so monumentally stupid that it's not even worth entertaining, especially not on a giant platform with many viewers watching.
people can watch this and they can say, yeah, he's a racist. And everything that he says about crime is driven through the prism of being a racist who judges people according to their skin color.
Well, it's funny because it's quite on the contrary. And I said this in a similar monologue. You know, the problem is not that I
What? Racism makes you more objective on the matter, is what you're saying.
wake up and I walk down the street and I see someone that doesn't look like me and it makes me angry. The problem is there's a pattern of behavior, which we've all seen. Blacks in America have become narcissistic.
We've all seen it. Oh, black people in America have become narcissistic, and we all know it. We've all seen it. There's a name for this fallacy. There's a name for this logical fallacy to just say we all know it. We all understand it. We've all seen it. It's so obvious. Piers Morgan just rambles nothing. I mean, to be honest, they both just ramble nothing. It's just that Nick Fuentes rambles racist nothing.
Become narcissistic because they've been told they're victims of racism, they're victims of slavery. They've been told, really, there's no accountability.
They've not been told. They have been victims of these things. They haven't been told those things. They've experienced it.
Consider it if they're criminal, they are told that they have no agency for their actions. They're being told if you act in this way, it's because the white
Didn't he blow Destiny or something? I don't know. I know they ate chicken waffles together.
man made you that way. It's because the system's rigged against you. And so we have been telling black people this for a generation, and now there's no rules. Now they go, and what we hate to see as decent people, not even as white people, but decent people.
Are decent people.
Black people too. What we hate to see is rudeness, obnoxiousness, inconsideration, criminality, violence. And that's that pattern of behavior that we see all over social media. On
So
the
just to
body
be clear,
cam
My goodness, this is such brain rot. I just cannot. just because you acknowledge that there's been slavery and segregation and systemic racism, you shouldn't do that. It'll lead to rudeness and inconsideration and narcissism. Narcissism.
You don't like black people who play the victim and are rude. Is that your position?
I don't like that pattern of behavior.
And who are narcissists?
I see where this is going.
Yeah,
Are you
ahead
going
of
to
me.
turn this around on
You're
me?
ahead of me, aren't you? Because when I said,
Very clever.
what black friends have you got? You said,
I
yay.
am kind of black,
Yay.
aren't I?
No, not that. You said,
Oh, yay
I'm not
also.
saying you. I'm just saying your choice of black friend is Ye, who is arguably the #1 black victimhood narcissist in America. Do you understand the problem? So he's your friend. He's one of the very few black people you want to be associated with, but he's the epitome of what you just said you abhor about narcissistic black people.
I disagree. I disagree with you, and I'll tell you why. Because Ye, if you've ever met him in real
Wait.
life,
I have. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it makes sense. Ye said all those anti-Semitic things, so I guess it would make perfect sense that he's friends with Nick Fuentes, wouldn't it? I guess that would make sense.
okay, well then he's nothing but polite, considerate.
Actually, he was very rude to me the last 2 times I interviewed him. He's a supreme narcissist, and he's also.
You keep interrupting me. You're very rude. Are you black?
I
Because you're being very
apologize.
rude by
I
interrupting me right
apologize
now.
to you.
What?
I'm giving you a hard time, but I
okay. You're
do
not
want to
giving me a
finish
hard
my
time.
point. I do want to finish my point about Ye. He is a guy. who,
Vladimir
when I was
says,
with-
but what about patterns, Lucy? Can't you see them? Don't you see them? No, I'm not a nutcase and a racist. So no, I don't.
with him, wanted to make sure that everybody was heard. Everybody felt included. He's actually a very soft-spoken guy, very polite, and by the way, not violent. When you look at all the rappers that are in the music game, many of them, especially from Chicago, drill rap, they're talking about killing people, shooting people, they gangbang. He notably, if you know about him, he got his start because he was a nerd. He wore a backpack and a polo, and he wasn't a gangbanger. He rapped about his feelings and girls and his dreams and his ambitions. So no, and by the way, he would tell me all the time, he doesn't even feel black. They make him feel not black because he doesn't do those things.
We're gonna address the whole anti-Semitic stuff whatever, I guess not.
Because he's soft-spoken, because he's artistic, because he's a bit of a nerd or likes fashion. So I would disagree. He's actually not like that at all. Well,
Okay.
we're talking
He's also a Hitler-loving anti-Semite. And we're going to take a little commercial break here.
Hitler-loving Uh-oh.
Talk about anti-Semitism and your views about Jewish people, and indeed what Yair said about the same subject matter. Angel Studios are back with a new must-see documentary. It's called Thank You, Dr. Fauci.
No, thank
Film
you.
or a left-wing film. It's a film about transparency, which is
Oh
something
my
we should
God.
all care about. First pulls over documents and interrogates scientists, intelligence professionals, and whistleblowers. It's being described as Oppenheimer meets Outbreak. And if you've ever wondered what really happens behind closed doors, you'll want to see it. Angel Studios is powered by its guild members voting on real stories. You can find out more at angel.com/peers. Become a member,
Brilliant.
stream Thank You, Dr. Fauci, and be part of a conversation demanding truth and accountability. Okay, back with Nick Fuentes. Let's just turn to anti-Semitism. In your interview with Stephen Crowder last week, you answered emphatically that you don't hate all Jews. Is that correct? That's your position?
Yes.
Okay. So I want to play you this clip.
Well, I don't hate any Jews. Let me just amend that. I don't hate any Jews.
Okay. Let's play this clip.
The reason I've had it is because my opposition to world Jewry and Israel is rooted in absolute, uncontestable fact. We have the truth on our side. That's why we're winning.
This is going to be because little Piers Morgan is a Zionist creep, so we're gonna be hearing, but it's okay because he said word Jewry and Israel, And those are two separate things.
Because we are telling the truth about the historical antagonism between Jews and Europeans, between Jews and Christians.
Ah, there we go. The historical antagonism between Jews and Europeans. There we go.
The theological, historical, racial, cultural, and political antagonisms between organized Jewry and the Christians, organized Jewry and Europeans.
Well, damn, shoot me with some historical examples, Mr. Historian. Give them to me.
And the reason that we are winning that argument is because it's real. It's true.
What argument? You haven't given an argument. Who's winning what argument?
I can prove it. I can show you. I can name the names.
Name them and give me historical examples.
I can show you the paper trail, the money. That is why we're winning. That is why all of this is raising the consciousness.
When you say you have this opposition to world Jewry, I mean, it's one thing to criticize, for example, the Israeli government over what it's been doing in Gaza. I've done that myself. When you talk about world Jewry, I presume you're talking about the 15 million Jews in the world, and you are opposed to them. How does that...
I guess I'm being opposed. I'm going to listen to the arguments as to why Nick Fuentes opposes to me personally. Oh boy, let's go.
With your position that you don't hate any Jews.
Well, do you take issue with my use of the term world Jewry?
Well, what do you mean by that?
Or do you take issue with it? Do you have a problem with that?
Clarify what you mean by it.
He hates clarification.
Well, it's funny you bring that up. The gaslighting's crazy because I use that expression on my show all the time. I say organized Jewry, world Jewry. And do you know that for like 30 years, the World Jewish Congress has an annual keynote called the State of World Jewry? Barry Weiss has given it. You can look it up. It's on YouTube. She gives the State of World Jewry address.
But Nick, what do you mean by it?
I mean, you have to talk about, there's a concept of Jewish peoplehood. It's the sense that they are part of a common nationality, a common tribe, a common people.
No, that's not true. That's not true at all. That's not been it's not a common nationality. Like there's a sense of a common cultural heritage, sure, but it does not translate to a common nationality because the so-called Yiddish land is actually a view that is opposite of Zionism. And Zionism is the view that there is a common nationality, and the Yiddish land is a view that Jewish people have a certain cultural connection and to an extent linguistic connection that's a bit less because there are several languages. There's Ladino, there is Yiddish, and a few more obscure ones. But the idea is that people can connect together regardless of nationality. It's a concept that is completely opposite of Zionism, which is why Zionists hate it with a passion.
So where they reside in Israel, the United States, or Europe, or elsewhere, they see each other above or maybe on a different level alongside their nationality, their state, wherever they reside. If they're in Germany, France, the United States, they see themselves as part of a transnational nation, of an international nation.
No, not a nation. That's not true.
The Jews in America, the Jews in Israel, they identify as Israeli or American, but they also have something in common. They identify as part of a common nation, which I would say there's a world Jewish population. It's world Jewry. And world Jewry has...
Nation is completely a completely incorrect term here.
Representatives. There is such a thing as the World Jewish Congress, where they actually elect, it's democratic, all the local Jewish organizations elect representatives to represent proportionally the Jewish population in their area at the World Jewish Congress. And it's sort of like Davos. It's like the World Economic Forum, but it's exclusively for members of the Jewish nation that exists across the world. And so That's a real
That
thing.
is a very dishonest description of Yiddish land as a concept. It does not invoke any sort of nation.
And I didn't make that up, and that didn't come from 4chan. It's like I said in that clip. I read what they write. I read their books. I watch these speeches. I watch a speech from Barry Weiss. I pay very close attention. So that's why.
Vladimir says, of course, the famous proclamations of the World Jewish Congress were famous and commonly known, the transatlantic jewelry. Yeah, this is just, God, such a twisting of a concept.
What I mean by that, there is such a thing as it's a nation that exists
No.
across borders on a global scale. They're organized, and they have
Completely incorrect.
a national self-interest as that.
No, that is even more incorrect. There is no national self-interest across country. No, that is completely incorrect.
Nation as that tribe.
No.
So if you don't hate any Jews, what do you like about them?
I like a lot of things about them. I think they're funny. I think they're smart. I think that they're pretty remarkable people. And as Christians, especially as Catholics, we say they're remarkable.
Oh my
and this
God.
has been adjudicated in Catholic doctrine for thousands of years. We say that they're a witness people. And so we actually, there's provisions inside of Catholic doctrine that says we need to give them special protections because they were a witness to Christ's passion. So
Yeah, and that is exactly why there's been so many pogroms, especially in Western Europe, against Jewish people because of those special protections.
This is why you can't clip the show. You have to watch the whole thing. I say this repeatedly in interviews. I do think they're remarkable. By definition, they're exceptional people. It's just that there is a sort of natural opposition between them and Christians because of the theology. We believe that Christ is a Messiah. They don't. They have been a minority in Christian lands for thousands of years, and they have been pushed around and expelled, and they've been persecuted and segregated. And that's why there's a lot of paranoia. There's a lot of distrust. There's maybe some sense of...
I see that Nick Fuentes has no idea what the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth was. I'm not super surprised all about the golden age of the Jewish community. Not surprised by that either.
Chauvinism among Jewish people. So there is, like I said, in that
the
clip, there is an
chauvinism.
historical antagonism between these two peoples, between Christendom and Jewry, and that has always been the case in Europe. But I don't hate them.
That's not true at all. Again, the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth.
I think I actually sort of understand them in a weird way. I think that because I've studied a lot of their politics, I think I really kind of know them in a way. And it doesn't come from a place of hatred.
There's no unified Jewish politics. There's no such thing. I have no idea what he studied, supposedly.
Any Jewish friends?
I do. I have many, yes.
But that's weird because you said this.
Jews and Christians have never been friends, ever. Not since Jesus Christ fought with the Pharisees. Have we ever been friends? Not since Saul was leading the charge persecuting the Christians.
Uh-oh.
Not since the Roman Empire, not since the Middle Ages. Never. We've never been friends. We've never been allies. We've always been set against each other, actually. And even here in the United States, it was communist Jews who were the architects of both communism and the civil rights laws.
Oh, civil rights laws. Oh, that's so bad. Civil rights? Oh, no. Oh, shit. Oh, my God. I must repent. I'm part of the global Jewish conspiracy nation that created civil rights. Whoa, no. That's bad. That's pretty bad, isn't it? The civil rights movement. I'm beginning to feel guilty.
That are dispossessing white Christians of their land and civilization.
The Jews and Christians have never been friends ever, except for you and your Jewish friends.
Yeah, so easy. As peoples, as nations.
Got it.
Not saying every individual Christian. And
now Christians are also a nation, quote unquote. Okay, makes perfect sense.
Christians and there have been Christian converts to Judaism, Jewish converts to Christian. You're nodding your head, but you're asking this. I'm saying as peoples, they've never been aligned.
As a Roman, I'm a Catholic like you, and I have
Not racist, but no, he said he was racist. To his credit, he just openly said that he was racist on this show. So it's like whatever. That's not even a question anymore. He just openly said, "Yeah, I am racist." So he said he was mega racist.
I'm just trying to compute what you're trying to say, which is Jews and Christians have never been friends ever. And I'm like, well, you have Jewish friends. I have Jewish friends. We're both Catholics. Therefore, we're Christians. It doesn't really quite add up.
Well, like I said, as peoples, there has been an historical antagonism as peoples. And you could even say the same about blacks in the United States. Of course, there were black and white people that were friendly with each other, but in many ways, they were set against each other as groups. And I think that's easy enough to understand.
The reason
they were not set against each other as groups. One group made the other group slaves. That's not being set up against each other.
The reason that many people think you're anti-Semitic is that you have regularly downplayed the Holocaust, and in particular the number of Jewish people who were murdered by the Nazis. It's been said that you believe no more than several 100,000 have been killed. And I want to play you this clip.
People talk about, well, you know, what about the gas chambers? Well, to the extent that that's real, I find that hard to believe, but to the extent that's real,
I find this especially egregious as a Jewish person from Poland. You know, I live in Warsaw. When I grew up, we still have the ghetto wall, you know, we still have the little ghetto wall with the ghetto gate. I visited Auschwitz-Birkenau. I've seen the gas chambers. I've seen the barracks. I've seen the little relegated space in the barracks where children were held. They drew their little drawings of what they wish they would do when they would go and be free. It's just especially disgusting for a person from this region of the world where it actually all happened. It's just incredible to the extent that it's real.
there have been atrocities committed and genocides committed in all times and all places. Let's acknowledge why.
No, what? No, that's not even correct. It's not even, this person does not even know what genocide is as a crime.
Why Hitler casts the long shadow.
Also, genocide was not created as a concept in reaction to the Holocaust. It was created as a concept as a reaction to the Armenian genocide by a Polish Jewish lawyer. So there was an understanding that genocide did not begin with the Holocaust. So that is a completely stupid point. It is a completely empty argumentation.
Because that confers a political benefit upon Jews. That's why.
It doesn't really sound correct to me. Wait a second. It takes 1 hour to cook a batch of cookies, and you have 15 ovens, probably in 4 different kitchens, right?
The famous oven thing.
Doing 24 hours a day, every day for 5 years. How long would it take you to make 6 million? I don't know. It certainly wouldn't be 5 years, right? The math doesn't seem to add up there.
You think that's funny?
Super
it's
mega.
Funny. It's amusing what you're doing because, you know, that one was a joke. But do you want to
Ha
talk?
ha 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 ha. What a joke. Oh my gosh. What a joke. So funny. Funniest bit.
Seriously about the
Do you
Holocaust?
think? Yeah, I do actually. I mean, I do because I just find it extraordinary that you would think the Holocaust could ever be something that we could joke about.
Why, too soon? Is it too soon to make jokes?
How many people do you think died in the Holocaust? How many Jewish people?
Plus, it's just Jewish people, but there are people. There's also the Roma people and other nationalities.
I don't know. I'm thinking maybe 7 million. What's the number? 6 million, something like that.
So you
8 million?
You concede that 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust?
Possibly more. Possibly, we're discovering all the time. So it could maybe even be more than that.
So why
upwards
have
of
you
10.
why have you doubted the numbers in the past?
I'll tell you why.
Because you were stupid?
Really think that every death is a tragedy, however many Jewish people died in the Holocaust. And I'm not a World War II historian, so I'm actually open to believing the official narrative, and I've read some of the conspiracy theories. And to tell you the truth, it's a rigorous debate. But you know what's interesting about this is in many countries, it's not even legal to talk about it.
Yeah. Because it's not up to debate. And I agree with this stance, by the way. It should not be talked about. Not in this way, anyway. It's not illegal to talk about it. It's illegal to spread misinformation about one of the most documented crimes in history, yeah.
And that's really where my interest in the Holocaust begins and sort of ends, to tell you the truth, is that if you wanted to question the number, you would be put in jail in about, 17 or 18 European countries.
Good.
And I think that's really the more interesting conversation,
Good.
which is that this is almost like a religious dogma in the
No,
West.
it's not a religious dogma, you idiot, because there's plenty of proof. It's one of the most documented crimes in existence. So no, it's not a religious dogma.
No other genocide, no other atrocity is treated like this. Could you imagine if in the United States they said the number of Palestinians killed in Gaza is 100,000, and if you don't say that, you're going to jail, you're banned on X, you can't have a job? That's the part.
You know what? Maybe people should be. Maybe people should face consequences when they spread misinformation about the genocide in Gaza. You know what? Sure. What now?
That's totally insane. And a lot of people, they can't even make up their minds. I think it's actually done a disservice. If your goal,
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's not a matter of opinion. The Holocaust, for one. It's like, those things are not a matter of opinion. Okay? It's well-evidenced stuff. Okay? It's fact. It's not an opinion.
I'm not saying you as Piers Morgan, but if your goal,
Make
if
up
you're
your
an
mind.
advocate for awareness about this,
It's basically like teaching history and saying, yeah, you know, maybe you could make up your mind if Napoleon actually existed, or if World War II even happened, or if World War I even happened, or if there was ever a Japan-Russia war. Just make up your own mind about it, right? This is stupid.
if your goal is to convince everybody that this is the way the Holocaust happened, I think the last thing you'd want to do is say that everyone that disagrees is in jail and is banned and you're not allowed to say it. So there's really...
Yeah, it's not a matter of convincing. It's fact. It's fact. It does not... There's no need to convince people of this. It's fact.
Been no open debate about the subject since the scholarship started to be produced about 60
Yeah, it's not up for debate.
years ago.
But there is no debate to be had about the number of people who were murdered. Even the Nazis in the trials after the war confirmed the numbers. The amount of documentation that was recovered, notwithstanding the attempts by the Nazis to destroy it, the amount of documentation that was saved and
It's not up for debate.
used
Exactly.
for trials and for historical record is unprecedented in the history of mass slaughter of human beings. So we have a very clear idea of how many people were gassed to death in the gas chambers. We have a very clear idea of how many were starved to death, were kept in ghettos, died of disease, of forced labor, of death marches. We know how
Of
many
executions
Jews were
in...
slaughtered. It's at least 6 million.
Yeah.
What's interesting to me is that you appear to now concede that, which may be news to a lot of your regular viewers who have constantly heard you quibble with the number of Jews who died in the Holocaust. And for the record, just to confirm what I think you told me, you do now accept that at least 6 million Jews were killed in the Holocaust.
Well, no, I said it could be, it could even be higher than
Well,
that.
it could
I said
be higher.
be-
That is
I think
true.
it's at least.
But you
I think you're
accept
right.
at
It
least.
is
Yeah,
at least.
that is what at least means.
It's at least 6 million, but it
Okay.
could be 100
Well,
times
people
more
are going
than
to be
that.
okay. The people are going to be.
Let me respond to the rest of your question.
Sure.
What you're saying, I understand where you're coming from when you say it has been documented and there are confessions and so on. Let that speak for itself. But you don't see, your show is called Piers Morgan Uncensored.
Yep.
But the United Kingdom is censored and Europe is censored. And if you talk about these things, you will be put in jail in many countries.
Yeah, good. Go to jail for spreading misinformation. Good. Good. Go to jail. Very good. Okay?
And I think that's where a lot of people start to say, well, if the truth is so clear and if there's such overwhelming evidence, why do you need to throw people in jail for disagreeing? And you yourself said, well, there is no debate. I think everything is debatable. I think everything, at least.
Yeah, that's a mistake. Not everything is debatable. Not everything's up for debate. Okay? There are things that are just settled facts. Whether or not Napoleon existed is not up for debate.
Should be debated. And if the evidence is very one-sided, let the evidence speak. Don't throw people in jail. So do you think that Holocaust denial laws should be overturned?
No.
I don't particularly agree with Holocaust denial laws.
I agree with them. And I think people should be jailed. Harsher jail sentences for misinformation like that. Yes. Definitely, 100%.
People should be imprisoned.
Okay.
Well, because I have a blanket view now, which has evolved slightly actually over the years, that I have a blanket view that speech should not be criminalized, right? People should be allowed to
No,
say
some speech is okay to be criminalized. I think certain types of speech is okay to be criminalized. There you go. I'm going to go the completely opposite way. I'm fine. I'm fine with that.
to say, and they should be then made accountable for what they say. If you have any,
I'm okay with harmful misinformation being criminalized. I'm not against it.
they can make a view about whether you are the right kind of person they want for their employment, as they would make a decision about anything else you do in life. So I actually believe that speech should never be criminalized, is my personal view. I understand why in places like Germany, they have strong laws about it because they want to move on from what they believe was the most shameful moment in their history. I understand that. Do I want that in my country? No. Am I appalled by what has been going on with free speech in United Kingdom in the last 2 or 3 years? Absolutely. It is ridiculous that people have been frog marched to prison cells for stuff they put on social media, right? So, yeah, I do. I think what is more interesting...
Interestingly enough, this is used in the anti-European Union rhetoric when they say, oh, people in England are being jailed for social media. Well, the UK is not part of the European Union.
About our exchange is I was not expecting you to go the opposite way. I was not expecting you to be so emphatic that at least 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust. And there'll be people watching this who I think will be very surprised by that, because you have built a reputation for being, if not a Holocaust denier, then somebody constantly questioning in a downward way the number of Jews who were murdered. That doesn't appear to be what your position is now.
No, and here's what I would like to see for my entire career. When I started my show, it started with a good faith inquiry where I was questioning a lot of these narratives. And I said, what is the answer on the other side? But what I found is that the answer was criminalized. So when you would talk about anything regarding Jews, Israel, the Holocaust, you could be in favor of the official narrative on those things. If you went against, you were banned, censored, and in some countries jailed. And so I actually haven't made up my mind on that, because that's not really a matter of interest to me. And there's a lot of analysis and scholarship on both sides of the issue. And
yes, of course. It's not, it's the most well-documented genocide, okay? There's not both sides of the issue having equally correct arguments. This is genocide denial in itself.
And I've read both sides of the issue. And honestly, unfortunately, it's hard to judge because there has never been... Right? There's never been a debate on it, and there's never been a debate.
Oh, this is such bullshit. There is no there are no good arguments on the other side. This is Holocaust denial.
of the stigma,
Being
because of the
reviled.
censorship. And I think that leads a lot of people to say, well, what do they have to hide? Because you can say on your show, well, I'm personally against Holocaust denial laws, yet they still persist. And the social...
You know what? I am pro. Just because of what he said right now, I am pro genocide denial laws. He just made me even more pro genocide denial laws.
Consequences still
With
persist.
his little speech right now about both sides having equally good arguments and they're just being silenced.
And I think that that is the anomaly. And people have to wonder, okay, why is it that way? And what I said in that clip is the reason the Holocaust casts a long shadow.
Yeah, I guess he is going to advocate for the AFD.
Because it confers a political benefit upon organized Jewry. That is what they always fall back on. They cannot be criticized. They cannot be named. They cannot be talked about, lest there be another Holocaust. Sure. And no other tragedy is treated that way, and no other ethnic group has a get-out-of-jail-free card. Just play that. Anti-Semitism and Holocaust, you can do whatever you want and defend all your actions. That's the part that people are getting upset with. That's the problem.
Of course.
I don't know any right-minded person who believes that Jewish people weaponized the Holocaust for their own personal get-out-of-jail-free or whatever you called it.
You don't know anyone that does that? That believes that?
I'm sure there are some people that do that, but it's such a ridiculous generalization. You know, the truth is that most Jewish people have lost relatives in the Holocaust. In fact, I want to play you two clips. One is where you talk about Adolf Hitler.
You know me, I always play that victim card. Whenever somebody disagrees with me, I always say, well, have you considered the Holocaust? That's what I always do.
Hitler was a pedophile and kind of a pagan. It's like, well, he was also really fucking cool. So, you know, time to grow up. We're not children anymore. Am I right? Am I right? Am I right, boys? Am I right? Let's go. He was also really fucking cool.
And this guy has a platform.
Do you regret saying that?
Saying a fact? No, that's absolutely true.
You think Hitler was very fucking cool?
Yes, I do.
One of them.
And I'm tired of pretending he's not.
Well,
to be honest,
this is the problem, you see. It's a bit like when you just say, I'm a racist. You're a racist who thinks Hitler's cool, but you're not anti-Semitic. If you're a Jewish person watching this, what are they thinking? I'll tell you what they're thinking, because I've got a friend of mine called Danny Finkelstein, who...
Finkelstein.
When he heard I was interviewing you, he's a Times journalist in the UK, very eminent journalist here, and author, who wrote a book about his own family's experiences at the hands of Hitler and
Vladimir says, hell yeah, we're growing up, boys, apparently.
Stalin, because you also told Tucker Carlson that you admire Stalin. But let's just take what Danny said here.
Hi Piers, it's Danny Finkelstein here. As you're interviewing Nick Fuentes, you might try suggesting to him that he reads my book, Hitler, Stalin, Mum and Dad. It's called Two Roads Home in the United States. Since he says he's on Team Hitler, you might like to ask him about the fact that Hitler arrested my mum, tried to starve my mum to death, did starve my grandmother to death, sent my great aunt to the gas chamber, my great uncle, my cousin. My grandmother on my father's side ended up being one out of 7 children, the only one that survived the war. So you might ask him whether he wouldn't rather be on Team Mum rather than Team Hitler. And as for celebrating Stalin's birthday, well, Stalin took my father, sent him to a state collective farm, sent my grandmother and to a state collective farm, sent my grandfather to the Gulag. You might try asking him why he doesn't celebrate Dad's birthday rather than Stalin's. It may all be a big joke to him, but he complains that he was 18 when someone tried to cancel him. Well, Stalin and Hitler arrested my mum and my dad when they were 10 years old. So perhaps he might like to reconsider his joke.
See, that's the reality of your jokes, although I haven't ascertained yet whether you are joking when you say that Hitler was very fucking cool. Are you joking, or do you actually think he was very fucking cool? The most genocidal monster of the last 150 years?
Yeah, the thing is, my generation, we're just...
I would really like to hear a justification to say that Hitler was cool. He was actually a very pathetic man. Unironically, very pathetic man.
Is done with the pearl clutching, you know.
Yeah,
where
you
we
might be,
make
but then
edgy-
your generation hasn't gone through what Danny Finkelstein's family went through. So
Yeah.
maybe the pearl clutching has a way to go for families whose family members
Oh my
were
gosh,
murdered.
yeah,
What exactly makes Hitler so cool?
we got all that. We, you know, me mom, like we're, you know, I don't even know who this person is. Why is this person talking to me? This old British guy is saying me mom got killed by Hitler.
Because
and
he
me
doesn't
dad
find
got
it
killed
funny
by...
when you say Hitler's very fucking
I don't
cool.
care.
He finds
I don't
I know you
care.
don't care. That's fine. You don't have to care. But he does care.
Does that guy care about America? Does that guy care about me and my country and my family? No.
He
That guy
cares
cares
what you,
What the fuck?
a
That's the
prominent
problem.
conservative in America, has to say about Adolf Hitler. And what do you mean by Hitler is very fucking cool? Because I think he's very fucking a monster.
Okay. And that's a clip. I think he's very fucking a monster. Do you hear yourself?
Yeah,
I mean,
do.
can we all grow up?
I do.
Can we all grow
He
up?
murdered
That is
12
just
million
childish.
people. He murdered 12 million
Okay.
people. What is very fucking cool about that? Tell me.
The edits, it's just cool. The uniforms, the parades, it's cool.
Yeah, that's not childish in the slightest. The uniforms are, that's not, yeah, okay, that's the grown-up thing.
Cool as a guy. You look at World War II, and it's fascinating, and it's interesting, and it's compelling, and it's cool. And you know, we're just
That's not childish, because that's not childish.
tired of saying these kinds of things. We want to talk like real people and give our honest opinions, and then we literally get an old Jewish guy from England
Holy
who's going to
shit.
say, "Oh, that's not very funny, mate. Me mom," and it's like, shut up, like. You know, no one is in favor of genocide. So let's just get that out of the way. We're not in favor of a Holocaust or genocide.
Do you think if half
It's
your
80
family
But its perpetrator is so cool.
years ago.
You think if half your family had been wiped out by very fucking cool Hitler, you'd still think he was very fucking cool? Or would you think that actually he was a despicable monster who murdered 12 million people, who targeted people because they were disabled or Jewish or Romani Gypsy or whatever it may be, and that he
Or gay.
systematically destroyed people, incinerated them in gas chambers? Do you think that you would find it very fucking cool if your family had been through that? Or do you think you would find it very fucking disgusting? And perhaps moderate the number of times you laugh about it, or want to joke about it, or want to abuse someone like Danny Finkelstein, who's written incredibly powerful books about what happened to his extended family at the hands of the Nazis and your other hero, Stalin. See, my point to you, Nick Fuentes, is that in parts of this interview, you try to come across as moderate.
Yeah, it's a mistake to give people like this a platform. And I think the fact that Piers Morgan did it is pretty despicable in its own right. Hello, John DeBasin. Hitler only had one ball. He had lost lots of weird fetishes. I mean, yeah. What was the point of this? What was the point of giving this dude a platform?
But every now and again, the mask slips. And it slipped again here with what you say about Hitler. There's nothing very fucking cool about Hitler. We know that from history now. We know what he did. You've already conceded that he murdered at least 6 million Jews. So when you say he's very fucking cool, Jewish people watch this and go, this guy's disgusting. Why would he say this about someone who perpetrated such an evil? And what's the real answer? Why do you? Is it just for clicks? Is it for money? Is it just for fun? For shits and giggles? What is it? What motivates you to say something like Hitler was very fucking cool?
It's for this. It's for all of this. And the lack of self.
Yeah, it's for idiots that give him a platform. Exactly. He should be ignored, shunned, laughed at, and never and ever given a platform like this. Because this is the truest statement that he has said in all of this. It's about all of this here. It's about being given a platform and being able to say your bullshit to the tune of however many people watch it. Reza says, Piers always acts shocked, but he ushers in these scumbags. I mean, he gives them a platform for a reason. Oh, well, he had certain pedophilic tendencies towards that niece. We're talking about the same niece.
Self-awareness is amazing. You're a boomer. You're a 60-year-old boomer, and we've spent maybe 3 minutes on you saying he's a really fucking monster. He incinerated
Like the
people.
real bad move is just giving this guy any platform to begin with, talking to him to begin with, to be quite honest with you. This never should have happened. This, whatever this is, should have never happened. He thrives on it. His career should have been let to die. He should have been left in obscurity. That's the real
People, and I'm sitting here saying it's not that serious. It's not that deep. And
Not that
and what
serious.
I'm getting at.
Not that serious.
Do you want to say more about
Well, you're not
he's
a kid.
a monster?
You're not a kid yourself anymore. You're not a teenager.
I know.
Right? You're
I know.
You're nearly 30, to be clear.
Yeah,
okay? You're a
I
fully
know.
formed adult who has a brain, right? And at some stage, that brain is taking you off these rabbit
Is this an
warrens.
interview or is this a lecture? Can I respond to what you're saying?
I want
in
you to
full?
I want you to explain why you think it's fine to say how fucking cool Hitler is and to dismiss the very powerful 90 seconds from a British journalist who lost a lot of family members to the Nazis in such a callous, dismissive manner.
I don't think it's powerful. I think we've been hearing that our entire lives. Okay, the Schindler's List. Let's just be honest. The propaganda is over the top. We have been
propaganda. I'm not a Holocaust denialist, by the way, but the propaganda. The fact is that people talk about this. People talk in such terms about the genocide in Gaza as well. People just don't. This does represent a certain truth that a lot of people just don't give a fuck about people suffering. It's just people say that same thing about the genocide in Gaza. They increasingly say that same thing about what's happening in Ukraine. Oh, we've heard it so many times now. I'm so tired of it. Oh. People just don't give a fuck. I had an argument with a fascist with the same smug attitude. Now I know where he gets it from. Yeah, he gets it from Nick Fuentes, of course. So pathetic.
in America.
What about
and
the Schindler's
everywhere.
List?
Hey,
Tell me
hang on,
about
can
the
I
Schindler's
respond?
List. Well, tell me about the Schindler's List.
I'll tell you about it. We have been browbeaten as a people, as Americans, as Westerners, for our entire lives. And do you know what this has done? It has taken away any sense of pride, any sense of love for our own
civilization. Vladimir, because it's cool, it's based, and because it's what they like. Also, it's very interesting that he equates the Nazis to the entirety of the Western civilization. I just gonna note that.
civilization. We have been made the villain in our own story. We have been made because, well, let's just be clear. It doesn't begin and end with Hitler is a monster. This has been the political narrative, which is why we have thrown open the borders. This is a political narrative, which is why we can't be a conservative society as a whole anymore, why we can't be proud of Europeans, why we can't be proud of being Christian, because they've told us if you're too white and too proud and too Christian, it's going to lead to a Holocaust. And so my generation, our entire lives.
Yeah, nobody says that. Nobody says that. Whereas the new fascists are arguably more pathetic, but still fucking dangerous. True. I mean, Trump is a fascist. He's old, but Trump is a fascist type. And he seems pretty pathetic, but the damage that he does domestically and internationally is very, very real. Very, very real. Trust me when I say that.
Honestly, Nick
it's true,
Fuentes,
and that's why
what
people
a
like me.
crock
That's
of-
why I'm
what
popular,
a
because this
crock
is
of
bullshit.
shit. Honestly,
Yeah, it's a crock.
what
We
you
don't want to
just
hear
said-
any
what
more
you
about
just
me
said-
mom and me dad.
What
That's
you
the
just
crock of shit.
no, listen. What you just said is a crock of shit, and you
It's
know
true.
it.
It's
And
called the open society.
In your gut, you know it is. You
Oh,
weaponize
God.
this stuff.
You know.
You weaponize this stuff for money, but you know when you say
Oh,
something like
please.
what you
I'm
just
banned
said.
from banking.
you
I'm
know
banned
it-
from banking and credit cards. You know who you're talking to? I do it for money.
And by the
How
way,
much money you
and by
make?
the
Your
way,
company's
that
worth
shouldn't-
$100 million. Your company's worth $100 million. I was banned from Bank of America.
And you
I'm
shouldn't have
banned from
been.
processing credit cards.
And you shouldn't have been.
But I
Good. You should be banned from more things.
am. So don't tell me I'm doing it for money.
Well, ask me my opinion about that. I'll tell you, you shouldn't have been. Right?
You
I
should
don't
have
agree
been
with that.
banned from
What
more.
happened to
Then
you?
don't say I'm doing it for money, because you know that full well, and you say it's a
How
grift.
much money- how much
if I
money
wanted to
are
be
you-
a grifter, I'd be like you,
How
and
much
I would
money
go
are-
and say,
How much money are you making?
I'm making a lot of money now.
Yeah.
Now that I'm the #1 live streamer in America, because people agree with me more than they agree with you.
Is okay, we're gonna look it up. Okay. Who is the #1 streamer in America? At least we'll see what the AI will say. Oh, Kai Cenat, leading in followers on Twitch with over 20 million, holding records. Mr. Beast dominates YouTube. Oh, wait, which one is Nick Fuentes? Is Kai Nick Fuentes or Mr. Beast? Well, you're not #1 streamer in America. Not even close.
We're tired of hearing about slavery and the Holocaust and Jim Crow. We're done hearing about that. You guys
I'm
overplayed
not
your
done
hand.
hearing about that.
Yeah, you're not even close to being #1 streamer in America.
Okay, well, your generation's on the way out, and Generation Z is coming up, and we're finished with that. We're ready to take our country back.
I've got 3
we're
sons.
not listening
I've
to
got
crying
3
minorities
sons.
anymore.
I've got 3 sons, and they don't share your views about slavery and about the Holocaust. They can have decency and compassion and humanity about some of the worst things that have happened in the last 150 years or more.
Sound like girls.
They can do that, and they can also have concerned views about issues like immigration and other issues. The two things are not mutually incompatible. You can have different views about different things. It's your lack of humanity and compassion for people about things like the Holocaust, about...
Estelle says, if you want to stop hearing about slavery and the Holocaust, get out of history and politics. True. Just, I don't know. Just, yeah, exactly. Get out of the historical and political topics, and you'll never hear about it again.
slavery. It's that people find so contemptible. And I don't understand why...
But you know what? You know how I am. You know, I'm a Polish Jewish person. You know what I am whenever anybody criticizes me, Estelle. You remember when we argued about things? You remember what my counter arguments were always to you? Yeah, Estelle, you say that, but have you considered the Holocaust? That's what I say usually. Well, not usually, always.
You need to do that. Is it, again, I just ask you, is your motivation financial? Is your motivation for fun? What is the motivation to saying these outlandish things, which you don't need to say, and which I suspect, I don't know, I suspect a lot of it is performative. So what is the motivation?
I'm an iconoclast. The Holocaust is not my religion, and it is treated like a religion. It is treated like...
No, it's not. It's treated like a historical fact, okay? Just because something is treated, rightfully so, as a historical fact, it does not mean that it's treated like a religion. People do not know what religion is, I guess.
Religion with dogma, with blasphemy.
No, there's no dogma. There's that. It's just one of the most documented crimes in history. So no, there's no dogma.
Laws, and that secular religion says, and you say that's...
This is just stupid. Reza says, Morgan is very ex-20th century liberal. He can't understand Fuentes and how younger fascist cunts are crazy. Yeah. It's just insane.
It's a crock of shit. It's intentional. It's called The Open Society by Karl Popper. It's by these architects of the liberal order after World War II. They got together and they said, how can we make sure that Hitler never happens? How can we make sure that totalitarian...
I mean, I think it's quite a good goal not to have another Hitler happen. I would think that it's a pretty, aspirational thing. Oh, Fido is here. Can you hear him drink water? ASMR. Nice ASMR. How's that for good content? Drinking water like Hitler? Exactly like him. I hated that. Wow. How could you? My dog got offended. I actually like that sound.
Never happens again. And they came up with the consensus, which is that we need to take down nations, religions, fathers, the authoritarian personality. We need to be empathetic and altruistic. We need to be diverse.
What the fuck? Why we have to take down what nations? What the fuck are you talking about?
And pluralistic. And that experiment isn't working. And I'll tell you the truth right now, and you can laugh at this, you can scoff at this.
Yeah, I will laugh at it. It's stupid. When I hear something stupid, my instinct is to laugh at it. I think it's a good instinct.
Our people are being genocided in our country. 50%
Yeah, I
of the
will
live
laugh.
births in the United
I will
Kingdom
laugh.
and in the United States are non-white. In 100 years, my ancestors, your kids who are so empathetic and compassionate, they're going to be a minority. They're going to be a minority in maybe a Muslim country, an Indian country, an Hispanic country. And these Jewish people that are 100 years old talking about my grandparents and the Holocaust, they don't care about that. Actually, they like to see it. At the SPLC, they're literally counting down the days until whites are a minority in America. So forgive me if I don't believe them when they talk about compassion. There's a genocide going on right now. It's not against the Jews.
How many Christians are there?
In Gaza, it's against
How many
whites.
Christians are there in the world? Like me and
1
you.
point some billion,
Yeah,
2 billion.
How
I don't know.
how many Jews are there?
15 million.
Okay. So with a straight face, you're going to tell me the world is being overrun by the Jewry, by 15 million people, when there are over 1 billion Christians. There is a genocide of Christians like poor old Nick Fuentes going on at the hands of these 15 million Jews. Really?
See, this attitude is why you're losing. When you say
Who am I
poor
losing
old
to?
white people,
Who
these
am I
poor
losing
old
to?
white people.
Who am I losing to?
You're seeing it. Mass migration. Oh, you're losing to me. We are losing as a civilization of mass migration. And here's the difference. In Israel, they have my politics. In Israel, they want to maintain a Jewish majority. If they had it their way, it would only be Jewish people. They're fighting like hell so that Jewish people can have as much territory, a Jewish state. They can be proudly Jewish in their own land. Whereas in America, we are being besieged by 10 million illegal immigrants in 4 years. And then whites and Christians are going to be the minority. And that's true in Canada, Australia, all the countries in Europe. So you could say there's 2 billion people, but what's the proportionality? What is the percentage of people being born that are white? Where's the arrow pointing? Where are we going to be in 50 years? In 50 years, there might be an Israel. In 50 years, there isn't going to be a white Christendom.
You don't believe people should get married, right?
I think people should get married. I'm a Christian.
You're basically anti.
Piers does not understand anti-Semitism. I know he's a Zionist. Of course, he does not understand anti-Semitism.
Marriage, really. You've talked about this. You've talked about.
Are we done talking about white genocide?
Well, no,
and
I'm coming to the same part because you seem
White genocide.
very resistant to the idea of
Nick
marriage.
Fuentes has no clue what a genocide
You
is.
never got married. You've talked very scathingly about henpecked husbands. Just take a look.
Vladimir says, white team is losing. I don't know how to help.
That's true.
Guys get to a certain age and they're like, you know what? Women suck. Like they're talking too much. They're not hot anymore. Like you're fat, you're chubby, you're not.
Maybe he's just gay. Just a thought. Maybe Nick Fuentes is just a homosexual.
Not as hot as you think you are. You fucking talk too much. You're a bitch.
So we'll obviously get to the brazen misogyny part of that a little later. But I'm just curious. On the one hand, there's this terrible genocide going on of white people. On the other hand, you want people effectively to stop going near women because they all turn out to be so ghastly. So they shouldn't presumably procreate. So How does that work? I mean, aren't you, with your rhetoric, actively encouraging men not to associate with these ghastly women, therefore not have any more children? Therefore, you are contributing, Nick Fuentes, to the diminishing white population. I'm confused.
I tell my followers to get married all the time. I tell them that it's best for everybody to get married. And I think that's the only way that you can have sex.
Are you married?
I think that's the only licit way as a Catholic, as
Why don't
you know,
you
to
get
have
married
sex
then?
is within marriage.
Why don't you get married?
I'll get married later. It's been difficult for me because people are shooting at me at my house. I don't know that I don't want to have kids and a wife. You know, my wife would be screaming about that. Me, you know, I have to be able to take risks and be able to say these things. It's difficult to bring a family into a life that's like that. But for my followers, I tell them to get married. But what's happening with women?
You literally just told your followers, well, hang on, in that clip, you literally told followers, women, they get old, they get fat, they get ugly, they get very annoying. So where's the incentive to get married to women? There isn't one. You're actively telling them the opposite.
You're extrapolating a lot.
Just
We can
quoting
complain.
you, just quoting you back yourself again.
No, but you're extrapolating and saying, well, you say women are annoying, so therefore, what's the incentive? We have to do it in spite of the fact that they are annoying. We have to do it in spite of the fact that they talk too much. We can get them to lose weight.
Socialist says need to keep them cat boys warm. True.
We can put them on peptides. We can get them to the promised land, but it's
What?
going to be
Do you think this view of women may
meantime.
be why none of them want to go near you?
Yes.
Oh, you should see my DMs. It is quite the opposite. They're called the Groy bets, and I'm actually batting them away. Granted, not all of them are attractive. Some of them are attractive.
Are
but
you actually?
you'd be
Look, just to
very
clear
wrong
up,
about
just to
that.
clear up one of the many theories about you. I've no idea what the answer is, and you haven't got to answer. But are you actually attracted to women?
I am attracted to women.
You're not gay.
No, but I will say that women are very difficult to be around.
Okay.
So there's that.
What about the
Do you
cat
think
boy?
they should have the right to vote?
I do not. No, absolutely not.
They should stay at home.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
See, basically, you're just a misogynist old dinosaur, aren't you? For a young guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I'm the
Yeah.
boomer. I know I'm the boomer here, but actually, you're a 27-year-old dinosaur, aren't you? Aren't you, Nick Fuentes? All women.
I am.
All women are annoying. All women grow
fossil.
old. They all get fat. Says the guy. Have you ever had sex?
No, absolutely not.
Wow. Says the guy. who's
Absolutely
never got laid.
not. That's a lie. What about that cat boy thing?
That's
Wow.
the thing, though. You boomers, it's
Do you think you're
always
an
get
expert in
laid,
women,
free love.
given you've never got laid?
Yeah, we are going back to the Stone Age. You're absolutely right. This, you know, you're talking about empathy.
I call bullshit on that. I think he slept with that cat boy, whatever thing.
And your kids are empathetic, and they would never laugh at a joke about the Holocaust.
I
and
think
you're-
that happened. I think the thing with the cat boy person happened. Okay? So I'm gonna call total BS on that. I've never slept with anybody ever.
a misogynist. You're a simp yourself. You're totally henpecked. That's the problem. So
Let
we
me
are
play,
going
let me
back to the
play
way things were.
another clip of yours about women.
Ooh.
A lot of women want to be raped, and when I say raped, I mean like.
Okay, I did not expect a Mr. Girl kind of thing here.
It sounds bad when I say it like that, but there's like a lot of women that really want a guy to beat the shit out of them. But also they have to pretend, but part of it is they have to pretend like they don't.
You think women want to be raped, do you?
That's what the studies show, Piers. That is what these statistics say.
But that's what you believe,
They
is
have
it?
fantasies. They have
Fantasy is not reality. Okay?
fantasies about it. I don't
Fantasy is fantasy. It does not correspond to reality.
think that they want
That's
to
why it's called fantasy.
actually get raped. But there's a study out there. Get ready for this. It says 62% of women have rape fantasies. And if you read anything that they're reading, if you watched what they're watching, what do you think 50
That doesn't mean anything.
Shades of Grey is about? What do you think Twilight is about? I mean, that's just true.
You think women want to have the shit beaten out of them, as you said?
Yeah, and it's very disturbing, but it's true.
Do you think you're...
No, it's this. Okay, I guess I have to add to the list. Nick Fuentes does not distinguish fantasy from reality. It's good to know. It's good to know that there are people that do not distinguish fantasy from reality.
Views on women might change if you actually ever had a relationship with one or had sex and actually had a proper relationship. I mean, people say the reason you're so angry about women is you're basically an incel.
Well, I'm not angry about it.
You sound very angry. You sound very
Very cool, incredible
angry
stuff,
about
says
women.
Vladimir. I know, right?
I'm passionate. It's an
You're
issue I'm passionate
passionate.
about.
You're sounding very bitter about women, as if women have done a terrible disservice to you. But when you don't have relationships, you don't have sex, when are they doing these terrible things to you that's made you so hateful towards women? I'm really curious.
Was that? I don't think that was a hateful clip. I think I was laughing. I said they want men to beat the shit out of them, and that's just true. I mean, when you look at the state of modern women, all they do is lay in their bed, doom scroll. They're chilling out. They're getting a little They're getting a little fat. It is what it is. I don't know what the average weight is, but they're getting a little heavy. And any guy that is playing the field these days will tell you that. I mean, and I know a lot of the Chads. I am an incel. I'm friends with a lot of Chads, like Bradley.
So you
Martin
are
in
an
particular.
incel.
They agree with me. You know, there's sort of like this alliance between the guys that don't have sex and the guys that get the most sex. We know what women are about. It's the guys in the middle. Guys like you in the middle. It's the beta male orbiters that say, she's amazing. You're a misogynistic pig. Because I don't know what that is. I guess they're desperate.
This is such sad cope. I don't even know how to react to that.
Let me explain to you what I think it is. I think when a 27-year-old guy...
Convenient Estelle says, I almost thought he would say the all women nowadays know is eat hot chips and lie. True. This guy is a loser. Yeah.
Who's never got laid, never had a meaningful relationship with a woman, says that women shouldn't be allowed to vote, they should stay at home, that all they do is fantasize about being raped and being beaten up. That's what they want. That they're annoying, that they get fat, that they get ugly. That's a misogynist. Now, you may not understand it because your knowledge of women is so incredibly tiny, but actually, you are the embodiment of a misogynist.
True, actually.
And if I was in a way, you have the deep-rooted misogyny of some of the actual boomers I know. Yeah, here you are, 27 years old. And most of the current studies show that a lot of men are really disenfranchised from society, no longer have physical relationships with women if they've ever had them, never associate with women, and build up instinctively misogynist views about women. And I fear you're in that position. You're just a bit of a lonely guy who wants to get laid and can't for whatever reason. And it's made you bitter about women.
So pathetic.
I don't know where that's come from, but it's fascinating.
No. I love how convincing that sounds. No. That's okay. I'm convinced. You're right. That's true. Well done.
No. See, here's the thing. First of all, you're very caught up in the labels. It's always, you're a racist, you're a misogynist.
You said you
these
were a
words
racist.
mean nothing to me. Can I respond?
You gave yourself the label.
What is this?
You said, I am a racist. I didn't give you the label.
Okay.
You said, Nick Fuentes, I am a racist.
Calm down. Calm down.
Did you or didn't you?
It's okay.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
so
here's
I
the
didn't
thing.
give you the label. You did.
About the labels. But you gave yourself the label. Yeah.
Are you yelling at me?
Because you're trying
to... What the fuck? He's like a child. He complained that people that talked about the Holocaust were the children, but he's just like a child. Mentally, this guy is a child. Why are you screaming at me?
Screaming at
something that didn't happen. You said, I gave you the label of being a racist. No, you did. You said, I'm a racist. You
Okay.
gave yourself the label.
You're going to have to tone it down a little, all right? You're going to have to bring it down a notch and relax. This is just an interview, okay? Please calm down. All I said is you're
Piers
hung up.
Morgan.
I didn't say you gave me that. Maybe I did.
You did.
But here's what I mean. What I mean is, okay, What I mean is you're just hung up on proving you're a misogynist. Okay, you're a racist. Okay, you denied the Holocaust. And I'm just...
Yeah, they're just factual statements at this point.
I'm not about the labels,
You
man.
didn't deny
I'm
the
just
Holocaust.
past that.
As I said to you, look, Nick, as I said to you, I just wanted to go over the stuff that you know everyone uses out there about you and get you...
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's not a label to say factual things about somebody. You deny the Holocaust. It's not a label. It's just a statement of fact.
To respond. And we are getting, I think, a long way in this interview. Right?
Okay.
You didn't deny the Holocaust. You accepted there's been a Holocaust of at least 6 million Jews.
No, he has denied the Holocaust. He said that there are truths on both sides, that he has not been able to make up his mind, and that one side is unproportionately censored. That is what he said. Piers Morgan must have not paid attention to his own interview if he thinks that Nick Fuentes has accepted the genocide here.
I'm a maximalist. I'm a Holocaust.
That is significant. You
I think
did
it's
admit
more.
You did admit you're a racist, and you have
What a fucking idiot. Both of them are idiots.
a thought process about women, which is the purest definition of misogyny that I've ever seen. And you've said you're not gay. So we're getting somewhere.
No, you're not.
Well, look, and I own the labels, okay?
Like, Jesus fucking Christ. It's not acceptance of the Holocaust if you say that both sides have their arguments and one side is being censored.
But I just don't care that much about them.
That's fine.
I feel like the whole...
I'm not saying
this
you
is
have-
like a weird...
I'm not...
Do you remember Morgan's interview? I've never seen it, so I don't remember it. Actually, no. There's been a Piers Morgan interview with Corvin Mikke. What the fuck? We should watch that at some point because that was probably a shit show if there ever was one. That was probably a shit show. Why would you ever platform Janusz Korwin-Mikke? Why would you do that?
I'm saying you have to care, Nick. You don't have to care about any of it. I promise you. Right? That's not why I got you on the show. I wanted to give you a fair crack, which I think I have. We've gone over a lot of stuff. We've got a bit more to go on. I genuinely don't think I've ambushed you with anything you couldn't have been expecting.
No.
I don't think I've been overtly hostile. In fact, when you've asked me to calm down, I've calmed down. I don't want to have a hostile, angry...
Oh, my God. Two idiots discussing things. Conrad says, look it up. It was a long time ago. I think even PewDiePie reacted to it. Holy shit. It was about his opinions on women, of course. Because he's a twat.
Shouty match with you. I simply want you to spell out exactly what you've meant about all these things, and people can then be the judge of them. So let's take another break, and we'll come back and talk about Donald Trump, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, and others.
Oh, my God.
But you've grown increasingly disillusioned, I think it'd be fair to say. Let's play a recent clip from you about Trump.
We played this game in the first term. We're 10 years in. And you still have these people, I hate to say it, but they're just like in denial. And they're like, okay, everybody, let's all go on Twitter and let's tell Trump, don't screw over your voters. Okay. Hey, Trump, don't hire John Ratcliffe in the CIA. Like, what are we doing? We lost. It's over. The time to make demands was during the election when he needed the votes. He's a lame duck president. He doesn't need anything from us. He's not even on Twitter. He's on Truth Social. So what are you talking about? We're going to all rally and tell him, don't hire yet another neocon?
Now, over the weekend, you posted this on X. You said performative cruelty is the perfect phrase to characterize the Trump admin and the mood of the MAGA movement. In order to compensate for his compromises and failures, Trump has
broken clock.
to fall back on mean-spiritedness to appeal to the basest instincts of its followers. It's really sad. I mean, do you think you're the best person, Nick Fuentes, to lecture people about performative cruelty?
No, he's not. But still, it's true.
Why are you accusing me of being cruel? Is that what that is?
Yeah.
How am I cruel?
You're cruel about black people. You're cruel about women. I mean, you're cruel about a lot of people, and you're very performative.
Okay. I don't think I'm performative. If anything, everyone else is performative. I'm authentic. You know, whatever you want to say about me, it's real.
No, it's not. Shut the fuck up. No, it's not. Okay? You're the least authentic person I've seen in a while. I'm so authentic, guys. I'm so authentic. Shut up. Shut the fuck up.
It's from the gut. But yes, I do think it's performative.
From the
and
gut.
what I mean by that is, you know, when they're doing the deportations, they know the deportations are not where the base wants them to be. They deported, the figures are disputed, but from my data, it's 300,000 in the year, which is not a massive deportation. They know the base is unhappy with that. So what do? The deportations that they are carrying out, they do a big spectacle and they arrest everybody and they film it and they put
So that's the thing. They're just not deporting enough. And they are trying to obscure the fact that they're not deporting enough with a huge spectacle. That's the criticism. Okay. That's the criticism. It's not about the cruelty. It's about the performative nature of the fact that they're not doing enough. Okay.
hype at it, and there's a meanness in there. They played that song, I think from Sabrina Carpenter or something, and they make it a joke. They make it glib, and they do that because they're not delivering on the promise, so they compensate by doing it meaner, edgier, more mean-spirited, so that the base will overlook the fact that it's not happening. And I think that's by definition performative cruelty. You can call me a hypocrite, but it's definitely true about what they're doing in the administration.
You went to see Trump at Mar-a-Lago with Ye for dinner. What was that like?
It was very interesting. They're my two heroes. Ye is my hero. Trump is my hero.
That explains a lot. Yeah, you can tell a lot about a person from their heroes. A lot indeed.
Even though he's very disappointing, I still have a personal hero of mine, and he's a remarkable person. It was a great conversation. We got along pretty well. He liked me. I liked him. It was the love fest.
Holy shit.
I mean, he got attacked afterwards for supping with the white supremacist devil. I mean, do you accept you are a white supremacist?
No, absolutely not.
Oh, I'm
you don't
surprised.
think white people are superior to black people?
No, I'm a Christian, so I believe everybody is equal before God.
Uh-huh.
Including women?
Yes.
So you give women equal rights then?
No.
Great.
No.
Great. Okay. So you just talked a lot of bullshit, didn't you?
No. Why are you like mad about this? No.
You want women to be
are
treated
different.
equally before God, but you don't want to give them equal rights.
Yeah, because women and
Okay,
men
it's
are
fine.
different.
Look,
Do you
it's your
believe there are
view.
two genders?
It's your view.
Do you think there's two genders?
I do think there are two genders, yes.
Okay. And so you mean there's distinction. There are
Of
two
course, the trans thing had to enter the discourse at some point. At some point, there had to be a question. How many genders? How many genders? How many genders?
genders.
I think we should all have the same rights to...
Well, if they're meaningfully distinct, biologically distinct, and they have different social and biological roles, I think it would follow that we would treat them a little bit differently in the law.
Do you think
That's
the Catholic
me, though.
Church's teachings reflect that?
I do. Yeah, there's
Really?
no female priests. Have you ever seen that?
Do you think that the Catholic Church thinks all women should be deprived of the vote?
Yeah, I think so.
No, they don't.
I think they do, yeah.
You think the Catholic Church position is women shouldn't be allowed to vote?
I think so.
It's quite something
Yeah.
to be owned by Piers Morgan. Yeah. Piers Morgan is a very stupid person from what I've seen from the Jubilee thing. So it is pretty remarkable to be owned by Piers Morgan. I will agree about that.
Not positive.
No, it's bullshit.
Oh, it should be.
It should be. So if you were Pope, that's what you do. You could be Pope because you're celibate.
That's true. And I'm also from Chicago, like the Pope. But look, I mean, women, it says in the Bible that women have no authority over men and they can't teach men. And that's why there's no female priests.
It says a lot of
So I
things
don't
in the
think
Bible.
Catholic...
I mean, do you take every word of the Bible as sacrosanct?
Well, yeah, it's inspired scripture.
That's all of
But I
it
mean,
is
is this now
all of it is
a
sacrosanct.
theological debate?
I bet we're gonna hear the mixed fabric example. I bet your ass we're gonna He's gonna ask him, should you mix fabrics? Okay.
Well, it is Catholic doctrine that women should not lead and teach. I mean, you're not interacting with what I'm saying. Why can't women be priests?
They should be.
Okay, well, you're not Catholic. That's not a Catholic
I am
position.
a Catholic. Many things I disagree with the Catholic Church.
Okay. Well, that kind of is contrary because the whole basis of being Catholic is accepting. It's accepting the authority of the pontiff.
You can be a member of a religion and disagree with parts of that religion. Perfectly reasonable.
You could be, well, yeah. I mean, you could say
unless you're
that,
an extremist.
But it wouldn't be true.
If you're an extremist, you can't.
Okay.
Obviously, you never deviate.
That's just not rigorous.
You never
That's just
deviate if you're an
sloppy.
extremist. But even the Constitution,
That's just sloppy.
even the Constitution's been amended. Was it 27 times? People talk about this sacrosanct document. It's been amended 27 times.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my, this is not rigorous intellectually. This is very.
Just
this is
a statement of
tabloid.
fact.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with intellect. Please don't insult the word intellectual with that comment. Please don't.
Theology. Okay. But it's fine. Where were we? We were talking about Trump and somehow we got into
Trump,
you're
look,
white
on
knighting for women's rights.
On Trump,
I'm disappointed that he did not ask him about mixed
I
fabrics.
think women should have the same rights as you and I. You don't. That's fine.
Put on the pink hat, bro. Put on the pink hat. We're waiting.
What's the pink hat for?
For the march, for the women's march. Are we going to see you at the women's march protesting for women's rights and all that?
I think women should have equal rights to men. Period.
You carry tampons in case your female friends get a period or something? Like, it's crazy. The white knighting is
I'd have no problem
diabolical.
giving a female friend a tampon, would you? Have you ever? I don't suppose you've ever seen a tampon, have you?
Gross. Absolutely not.
You
Get
think,
that away
you think
from me.
tampons are gross?
Yeah, they're
Really?
filled with period blood. Yeah, it's kind
God. This person's an idiot, and this person has a big viewer base, a fan base.
kind of gross.
Wow.
Are you into that? You like that? You,
Have you ever
got
seen
a lot
it?
of tampons?
I don't think you've ever seen it, have you?
I've seen them. I've
Oh,
seen
you
them
have?
before.
You've been that close
Yeah.
to a woman? Really?
No, I've seen them. Look, I
Oh, you've seen
I
videos?
used to live with
I
women,
bet
so
you've
I've seen them around the
I
house.
bet you've seen videos, haven't you?
What? What are we doing here, Piers?
I'm not
you
sure.
really hate that
I'm not sure,
You're
Nick.
more impressed that I'm a misogynist than you are about anything. It's
Not
very
really.
revealing.
I'm actually more exercised about your blatant, self-admitted racism.
She's like a
Then
5-year-old.
I
Yeah,
see anything.
and ironically, Nick Fuentes acts like a 5-year-old mentally. It's embarrassing.
But the misogyny runs a close second. Let me ask you about Tucker Carlson, because you had a long sit down with Tucker Carlson in which he was.
This is
I like Tucker.
embarrassing.
We got on well. I was with him last week in London, but he gave me a harder time than he gives you. And then afterwards, he was more critical. And then you said this about Tucker.
He's a handler. He handles people. That's what he does. He's a fucking liar and a handler. He goes around telling people, I don't know anything. I don't know. Oh, I know nothing. I don't even have a phone. I am just a clueless tourist. I just travel to all these countries and, I don't trust him. And I don't care, maybe that alienates me from people in the conservative movement. I don't care. I'm not going to be a part of it. I'm not going to be a party to whatever that is, whatever that CIA bullshit is.
CIA?
I'm not gonna be a part of it. So,
He's so stupid. CIA bullshit.
now that I've heard enough from Tucker and I've heard enough from other people and I've seen enough, this guy's not who he says he is. Not an ally. Stay the fuck away from me. You're weird, dude. You're weird.
See, what would have been great is if you'd said that to him when you were sitting opposite him.
Yeah, to his face.
Well, when I was sitting opposite
What a
him
coward.
at the dinner and in the interview, he was nothing but nice. He was very nice to me and very cordial, and he didn't call me an anti-Semite, and he didn't even press me on it at all. And I thought he would, and I almost wanted him to. He was nothing but nice, and we had a great time. We had a really great dinner, really great interview, and I felt really good about it. And the next week on my show, I said, he really surprised me. He's great. And then every interview he's done since, all he does is call me an anti-Semite. He goes, well, I hate his anti-Semitism. And, I wonder why people like him. And so I just think that's two-faced. So
Maybe that's just because you're an anti-Semite.
after that experience, it kind of turned me off. I didn't like that, but he's going to do what he's going to do. He's still a nice guy, but I think he's two-faced.
What about Candace Owens? You had a sit down with her. She called you out on a few of your more incendiary comments. You've been attacking her quite virulently recently. What's going on there?
The right wing,
you know.
the right wing infighting, always delicious to see. Always delicious to witness the infighting among the right wingers. The lunatics.
Me and her, we're so complicated. We're on and off. It's very passionate on both sides. You know, I think
that sounds so creepy. I'm just waiting for her to say, no, it's not. No, it's not passionate and we're not on and off.
There's this intense desire to be friends, but a frustration where we
That does sound like something like an incel would say.
disagree with each other. There's a rivalry. But I thought we were going to have a friendly conversation, and then she kind of did the same.
Oh God, Conrad says, I don't know. Like I said, I don't find this event to be funny. When I see a redneck saying some delusional stuff about liberals, I'll smile. But him, all performative. Yeah. The funniest thing that he said in this whole thing is when he said that he was just from the gut, that he was so just, you know, authentic. That was the funny bit that he said.
Thing. We're going to go on a show during the war with Iran. We're literally in the middle of a war. And she texted me the day before the United States bombed Fort O. And she said, would you like to come on my show? I said, absolutely. I said, is this going to be about Iran? She goes, I don't do setups. I said, yeah, let's do it. I come on the show and then she's like got this weird hostile demeanor. She's doing the clip thing. Then she puts it behind a paywall. It was ridiculous. So that really was not nice. And then I think this whole Charlie Kirk thing, I think she's gone insane. I think she's absolutely lost her mind. So I feel sorry for her husband.
What did you feel when Charlie Kirk was assassinated? Where were you when you heard about it?
I was at my house, and a friend of mine who was actually at the event texted me and said, Charlie got shot. I said, who? He said, Charlie Kirk. I said, oh my gosh, that's terrible. And honestly, it was devastating. I didn't like Charlie Kirk at all. And we had an intense rivalry and he hated me.
Rivalry.
But honest to God, I was devastated. I was emotionally affected by it. I didn't even do a show that night because I was beside myself. So it was rough.
God.
I mean, it was hard to watch.
This is hard to watch.
I mean, you hated it.
This is hard to watch.
I don't hate anybody. I didn't hate him, but I really didn't like him. I intensely disliked him, and I didn't agree with him.
He called you vermin, didn't he?
Yeah.
He did. Yeah, he hated me also.
Accurate.
But you were still beside yourself when you heard what happened to him.
I was. I thought it was disgusting what was done to him, and it was tragic, and it was horrifying.
Do you fear an attack like that on yourself? Have you upped your own security because of this? Because your profile's got exponentially higher since what happened to Charlie Kirk.
I have increased my security, and but you know, something similar like that happened to me. Someone came to my house with a gun about a year ago, almost exactly, trying to kill me, and he was shot and killed in my alleyway.
They had some kind of beef. I was not into that. They all have some sort of weird beefs, all of them, without exception.
So I've had increased security for a while. It's a bad time out there, and I do believe it was a left-wing person that killed him. I think it was a left-wing person that tried to kill me. So yeah, I take it very seriously.
Very convenient.
Elon Musk said on his X platform that you're a Fed. You're a paid-up hire of the government. Is that true?
Absolutely, yes.
No.
Oh, I did not expect that answer.
You've never worked for the government in any capacity?
I've never talked to federal law enforcement. And actually, I've testified to that fact under oath when I was subpoenaed by the Congress. People leave that part out. But I got subpoenaed, I think, in January 2022, I think it was. And I was deposed by the subcommittee, the House Select Subcommittee on January 6th. And they asked me, did you speak with any federal law enforcement? And under oath, I said, no, I've never had contact with them. I've never turned over devices. So no, absolutely
Yeah,
not.
because people never lie on
There's
their
been
own.
footage that's come out
Never
again
ever.
this week. This is you at
Never.
the January the 6th riots. Let's take a look.
It appears we are taking the Capitol back.
Of course, he took part. Of course.
Keep marching and don't relent, never relent. Break down the barriers and disregard the police. This Capitol belongs to us. The police are evacuating the Capitol. Politicians don't laugh. Scurry out of the people's house.
I actually have no idea. I actually have no idea what Fuentes' take on the war is. I'd have to look it up. It's probably very stupid. Probably something mind-numbingly stupid. If any of his other beliefs are an indication.
Shouting down your loud hailer, break down the barriers and disregard the police. The Capitol belongs to us now. What did you mean by that?
What did you mean, indeed?
Self-explanatory. The Capitol belongs to the people.
Disregard the police. So you don't support law and order.
No, I support law and order, but on that day, the police were brutal. The police killed somebody, Ashley Babbitt.
What the fuck? I respect law and order, except for when I don't. So you don't. This is stupid.
You know, they were throwing people off of the rafters. They killed multiple people. So
when disregarding the police,
I believe it's something along the lines of both sides of the. I'm willing to bet that he's more pro-Russian, but who knows? Trump is his personal hero, you know.
The first step to anarchy, isn't it?
Well, I think the first step to anarchy is when the government rigs the election, which is what happened. That is when the government loses its legitimacy and its enforcers consequently do also.
Well,
that's exactly what happened in 2020.
There is no evidence the government rigged the election. You know that. You're a bright guy.
Well, let's talk about it. You want to talk about the election of 2020?
Yeah. I think Trump lost it fair and square. I think he fought the wrong argument.
Donald Trump's election, Donald Trump's own government rigged an election against them. I think people just keep forgetting who the president was during that election. Oh yeah, it was Donald Trump and it was his government. So it's just very interesting theory.
About the stolen election. I've said to him, to his face,
I agree.
The argument he should have said is that the deliberate suppression of things like the Hunter Biden laptop scandal from the media, by social media, by big tech, was actually a deliberate attempt to subvert the result of the election. And that's a much better argument because it's undeniable. When the New York Post that had that exclusive were basically shadow banned off all social media for the 2 weeks before the election, that was an absolute disgrace. And if I was Donald Trump, I would focus on that as being my main argument that that election was slanted against him. When he goes off into saying that there was widespread...
But slanted against is a far cry from rigged. Just keep that in mind. Slanted against is not even in the same ballpark as rigged.
Rigging and voter systems were wrong. We've litigated all this now.
Reza says, March 17, 2022, Nick Fuentes offered prayers for Russian forces and praise for President Vladimir Putin over the invasion of Ukraine, less than 2 weeks after Republican lawmakers attended a conference. Well, there we go. We have an answer. Elections are slanted against the loser. There we go. We have an answer to the war question. Because, of course, what did you expect? I knew it would be something like this. I knew it would be something pro-Russian. Very predictable. He's a very predictable guy, actually.
Have ruled there was no rigging of that kind. In fact, the American election system is accepted by most people around the world as being one of the best in the world, one of the most reliable. So I just think he fought the wrong argument. If he said the deliberate suppression of damaging stories to the Bidens, which could have swung the election, was outrageous and unacceptable, I'm 100% behind him. But by building this spurious argument that it was all rigged through voting systems and so on, he lost me.
Well, I agree about the voting systems, but, when they went into the machines, I think that was ridiculous. However, what has to be accounted for is that in 2016, 35% of the votes were cast by mail. By 2020, it was 70% because of the pandemic. So you doubled the amount of votes that happened by mail. They called it in-person early voting. They called it a variety of different things. And the other thing that they changed is they solicited the mail-in ballots. So they sent ballots to people's houses. And once you do that, I mean, you have absentee balloting normally, but it's a process. You got to give your social security number, your ID. They send it to you. There's regulations in place. This is an election where they double the amount of mail-in votes, and they sent ballots to people's houses. And when you do that, you break the chain of custody. So they send the ballot out, and then they tell people return it at a 24-hour ballot drop site that's unsupervised. There's thousands of them, and they're going to hope that all the ballots that find their way into these drop boxes were filled out by the person that the ballot was intended for. And I know that didn't happen. I'll tell you why. My uncle has been dead for 26 years.
Same old tired arguments, the same old tired bullshit, the same old, debunked horse shit.
Ballot in 2020. It was mailed to my parents' house. And
Conrad, it's not just him, obviously, but I'm seriously considering cutting off the internet a bit because of bullshit like this. I just can't stand hearing all those names like Fuentes, Trump, Hassan. I mean, you'll hear Trump no matter if you turn off the internet or not. Trump is a name that you cannot get away with, internet or not.
That was happening in nursing homes. That was happening in apartment buildings.
But you also know that every independent body that has looked at this has concluded there was no widespread rigging, that it was a free and fair election, and Trump lost. And the bottom line is he should stop going on about it anyway, because he won back the White House.
I know what you mean.
In 2024.
We just want to disconnect.
As you have been so keen to tell me, move on, right? No one wants to look back too far.
That's a separate argument. I mean, you can say that he should stop talking about it, but whether it was rigged or not is actually relevant to what happened on January 6th. Because what happened on January 6th...
I mean, that is an argument. There is evidence that it's not been rigged.
Is people were outraged about it. People were furious that, by the way, there's never been an independent ballot audit in all the states where there was alleged to be rigging. That has not happened. And certainly it did not.
Well, if you're tired of politics, I'm going to be dividing the channels. I'm going to be moving all my news and politics into a separate channel. This channel that I'm on right now is going to be dedicated to games. And there's going to be a third channel for the things that I'm currently tweaking still. There's going to be a rehaul of the whole thing so that people know what to expect, and so that people don't, and so that the algorithm does not get perpetually confused by what I do with the channel.
Happen up until January 6th. And people said, this is ridiculous. They're stealing it.
If people, honestly, if either you or Donald Trump or anybody else wants to show me, I said this to him when I interviewed him last, if you show me the actual hardcore, incontrovertible evidence.
You don't say hardcore, just say hard evidence. You don't say hardcore evidence. That's stupid. Hardcore evidence.
Joe Rogan asked him. He didn't produce it with Joe Rogan. It's just never been produced. But look, I don't want to labour the point on that. So I suppose the more interesting question now, as your influence rises in the conservative movement in America, and there's a lot of splits going on amongst MAGA over a number of issues, and about you, and you know this, is your split with Trump irrevocable? Do you feel now, as we head towards the year of the midterms, that it's time to now look to who his successor will be, and who do you think that person should be?
Me.
Well, it's not irrevocable, but I am very pessimistic about this administration. And succession is something that I've been interested in for as long as I've been doing this show. And I think it's very clear that they are grooming J.D. Vance to be that successor. And by they, I mean Elon Musk, Tucker Carlson, Peter Thiel. There seems to be an organization that was put in place roughly around 2022.
Are you saying Twitter is not in good hands?
He spent, I think, over $30 million.
No way. Are you saying that Elon Musk is not handling Twitter well?
$15 million for Vance, $15 million for Masters. Spent a lot of money in a lot of other congressional races, trying to unseat the Republicans that voted for impeachment in 21, and also building out a media market, building out a patronage network, funding things like Passage Press, Sovereign House, a number of other projects to create sort of like a self-contained media ecosystem. And Vance is clearly the selected nominee. That is who the interests want. And they've been pushing for him very strongly. So I think he's the heir apparent right now. There's a forceful push. I've heard good things about him. I've heard bad things about him too. And where I think it needs to go is I think we need to return to the message from 2016, what Trump said in the first election, which is we need to drain the swamp. We need to get the money out of politics, the super PACs, the special interests, put America first in foreign policy and the wars, close the border and deport.
Oh yeah, have I mentioned that I've been Elon Musk has been screaming about freedom of speech for the last few days on Twitter. And I quote tweeted something about trans issues. And I said that there's a murky element about the criteria of who is and who isn't a real female, quote unquote. And my tweet has been limited for hate speech. Have I mentioned that? Have I mentioned that I've been accused of hate speech on Twitter? So much for free speech. Because I have been punished by Twitter for hateful conduct and speech. Yeah, I did say cis. That's the thing that I did. I used the word cis in my tweet, and I've been flagged by Twitter for breaking Twitter rules and using hateful speech. That's right.
The illegals and reindustrialize America, bring back manufacturing, bring back jobs. We're in this Cold War with China. We need America to have productive capacity again. We need America to have wealth. So I think whoever is going to bring us back to that,
yes.
That's who I'm going to support.
Because America famously has no wealth.
And I haven't seen enough from Vance yet.
You called J.D. Vance's wife a Jeet. What does that mean?
It's a slur for Indians.
Why would you use that?
Well, you want the honest answer?
Because you're a racist?
No.
No. Yes.
There's actually a different reason. The reason why I said that, if you watched the whole show, did you watch that whole show, by the way?
No, but you've admitted you used that slur. I'm just curious why you would use that about a woman with her heritage.
I'll tell you, there's a really important reason why, and this is why context matters. If you look online at the people that are supporting J.D. Vance the most, they are racist. They're racist also, let's say. And they look at someone like myself. I don't support J.D. Vance, and they say, you're brown. You're a third worldist. They are gleefully participating in the cruelty, you could say the performative cruelty of the Trump administration. They say, you're going back. You have 100 days until you're being deported. You're going in a crystal. And then they tell us to vote for J.D. Vance. And so all I did on the show...
Nobody voted for J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance was chosen as the vice president, whatever.
Is I said... You have basically racist chuds that post memes about Indians all day on Twitter, memes about third worldists.
He's not just being called a racist. He said he was one, so...
And Palestinians even. But then they want to turn around and support a guy who has said on Twitter, how dare you say I'm racist? I have non-white kids and I'm in an interracial marriage. And all I said is that's...
Oh. Sean the Brazen said, if you think that was bad, I was accused of hate speech for calling a police officer a Nazi. When he had his knee on my neck and I couldn't. Oh, damn. When did that happen? Well, you're from the US, right?
I just said that's a little ironic. I said that's hypocritical. And Vance is going to have to explain to all of his supporters who have gassed him up as the real, the real mass deportation candidate. He's going to have to explain to them what's going on with that. What is with the contradiction? Because
and you
it is
don't
a
feel any
contradiction.
accountability for the millions of young people that will hear you use that slur and think it's fine to use it.
No, I think that's ridiculous.
Okay.
Of course.
Let's take a final break and come back with a little kind of summary of how you think this interview.
Sort of anticipated that you would make some choices about how you wanted it to go, and I was fine with it. So I thought it was terrific.
Terrific.
As a Catholic, you're probably aware the Jerusalem Post has recently called on the Pope to openly condemn you. Would it matter to you if the Pope
Really?
did? He's an American Pope, obviously.
It would be very disheartening, yes.
Why?
Why does this guy had so much attention?
Because he's our
that is
spiritual leader.
disheartening.
He's the head of the church. He's the vicar of Christ. So if he condemned me, that would be very disheartening. And it would depend.
If the fact that this guy gets so much attention, that's disheartening.
Upon what he would say exactly, but
That's
yeah, I
disheartening.
wouldn't like that. I wouldn't like that
If he
at all.
condemned you because you've openly admitted to being a racist on this show?
Oh, this racist, I would be disappointed if he said that, because I think that word racist, it means something different to everybody. And
No, it does not.
So I think that's just silly. I think that's just semantics.
From the UK,
Have
interesting.
you ever been in love in your life?
No, the word racist does not mean something else to everybody.
No, like romantically, no.
Yeah, never.
No.
Do you think that's part of the problem?
Can you be in love non-romantically?
What's the problem?
Why you are the way you are.
Oh, and what's the way I am? What are you trying to say?
I've given people 2 hours of the way you are. You're unashamed about a lot of it.
I don't think I have a problem. I
He's
think
a useful
I'm
idiot.
cheerful, boisterous. Look, unlike you, I'm willing to be a little provocative. Well, I guess you're willing to be provocative, but I'm willing to be very provocative, and I'm a free thinker. And I don't like to be tone policed. I don't like to be told about, people are going to tone police and play moral cop about you can't make this joke or you can't make this statement. And I think that's just about being intellectually open. I'm a believer in openness, and I like ideas.
I completely agree. I think you should be perfectly free to express yourself exactly how you see fit. My problem is how you see fit with some of the...
Two intellectually open idiots with a giant microphone.
the things that you say. And we've been through a lot of them, and I think people who don't know you very well will have been shocked in parts and surprised.
Platonic love, that's not being in love. If you have platonic love, then that's not being in love. That's not described as being in love.
In other parts, but in totality, they can see you for what you are. I think we've got a lot nearer to what the real Nick Fuentes is in the last 2 hours than we probably have seen from your other recent interviews. Would you agree?
No, I mean, the clip thing, we've done the clip thing. We've all seen the clip show. Everyone's seen the clips. You think you're the first one to do the ADL rap sheet. So here you said this, and then here you said that. I've been playing that game for 10 years. So this is honestly more of the same, to tell you the truth.
Nick Fuentes, I appreciate you coming on Uncensored. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Amazing. I don't need to hear anymore. It's a type of love. Yeah, but he wasn't asked if you ever loved one. He was asked, have you ever been in love? And then he asked romantically. But if you love someone, I love my mom. I'm not in love with my mom. Okay? I think that's the easiest example that I can give. think that's pretty simple. All right, let's move on to some other stuff. That was something. Put on Corvin. Just a bit. Just a bit. Piers Morgan rages the most sexist man in politics. Full interview. Good morning, Britain. Oh, Piers Morgan looks so young here. I was actually... Wait, the full interview is just 12 minutes? And we can watch the full thing. Honestly, platonic love is better. Friendship, breakups, low-key hurt more. Platonic love is described as a type of a profound friendship. All right. Is that the full thing? 12 minutes? All right. If it's just 12 minutes and we're watching the whole thing, I guess.
MEP Janusz Korwin-Mikke joins us now live from Warsaw in Poland. Welcome.
Morning.
Welcome to you, sir. Can you explain to people in Britain, please, why you believe...
Janusz Korwin-Mikke is one of the founders, if not the founder of the Confederacy Party. He's one of the biggest lunatics in Polish politics. He's extremely racist. He's extremely sexist. I wouldn't be surprised if he was extremely homophobic. My mom met him. And described him as boring and not a very smart person. Interestingly enough. Profoundly boring and not very intelligent.
Women should be paid less than men because they're weaker, smaller, and less intelligent.
That is why I found it funny that my mom said that he was not very intelligent, because he himself says that women are not intelligent.
I am sorry, you are lying. I never said that the women should earn less. I only said that because they are shorter, they are weaker, they are less intelligent, they are less aggressive, and so on, they
less aggressive.
Earn less.
He sounds like he's dying. He sounds like he's dying in this interview.
By the way, shorter men earn less than the tall men. The blonde earn more than the brunettes. There are differences, and
Shorter men do not earn less than taller men. That makes no sense.
the differences should not.
Oh, you're a good lawyer. You're a really good lawyer. But you know what? We're gonna pay more to that other lawyer, even though he's a worse lawyer than you, because they're taller.
We equalize, that's all.
Can I just interrupt? Can you give me an example? Sorry,
the women are not shorter than men?
This is Zizek's evil cousin. Like he doesn't even have this weird speech impediment like thing when he speaks Polish. He sounds much more clear when he speaks Polish. I did see a stat where taller men were found to earn more on average. I would have to see that stat. Also, John the Brazen, consider not being white. I'm preparing for the next trip to Ukraine, so any support that I can get, I will gladly appreciate.
Okay, can you just give me an example of where a short man earns less than a tall man?
Yes, of course, they earn less, but on the average, of course. Also, blonde earn more than brunettes. Also, it is checked, it is proved, and women earn less because they are, and so on.
And do you believe?
I didn't say that they should earn.
Okay.
I am a free marketer.
Let me ask you though. Do you personally?
I am a free marketer.
Let me ask you.
And everybody earns.
Okay, let me ask you. Do you personally believe that women are less.
Well, he learned it as a third language and later in his life. I guess I'll give him a pass.
Intelligent than men?
Yes, of course.
When I heard him speak English with Sargon of Akkad, that was an interview that was insane. And he did not sound like that.
Why are you not interested that they are shorter than men, but they are less intelligent? Both statements are true.
Do you understand that when you say that, you're basically telling
please,
them... Well, let me finish.
and
Let me finish. Let me finish. Do you understand that when you say that on International Women's Day, what you're really doing is showing the world that you are just a horrendous sexist pig?
But, excuse me, why you are not interested that the women are shorter or weaker than men? Why intelligence is only one feature of women, and of course they are less
I'll have to read it later.
Several points on
Thank you.
IQ scale. There is no doubt on that. But please don't mix up things.
Okay. But if women, okay, but let me ask you. Let me ask you. Yeah, if women are less intelligent, let me finish. Let me finish.
Please
shush, shush, shush. When you say women are less intelligent than men,
I am sorry, I was talking.
How can you say that women are less intelligent than men when you yourself sound so
When you yourself are so stupid.
unbelievably stupid?
Oh, God. You're a stupid, stupid man.
I haven't understood you.
Well, because you're
I don't understand.
too stupid. Let me try again. Right? How can you say that women are less intelligent than men when you are saying such incredibly stupid things?
Men. Why?
Yeah. How can you say that when you yourself say such stupid things?
First of all,
Correlation does not equal causation. That's the saying. The saying is not that correlation does not imply causation. It's not. Its correlation does not equal causation.
Okay, it is you are saying it's stupid. It is.
I mean, correlation could imply causation, but you'd have to prove it. You'd have to prove that the implication is true.
Scientifically proved, and you say that what is scientists determined, you say it is stupid thing. No, well, it only shows that you are an idiot who don't believe in science. That's all. And please, don't mix up. Don't mix things up. Women are less intelligent than men, but nobody said that the men are wiser than women. Oh no, I think it is just the opposite. Just tell me the example. A 15-year-old boy is usually much more intelligent than his mother. But his mother is more wise than he is. So, to be wise, it is a different thing. Intelligence is a feature to enable you to solve the crosswords, to invent the atomic bomb, and so on and so on. And it is quite different things than to be wise.
Susanna, would you like to speak to this gentleman who thinks that women are basically less intelligent?
I feel like I've kind of been rendered
Sorry, the lady is about to speak. If that's all right with you. We have quite a short lady who I think might take exception to almost everything you've just said. So,
well,
Susanna.
I find it absolutely fascinating. Can I just establish your credentials? You're a member of the European Parliament. That's right?
Yeah, that's right. I think he also said that immigrants and refugees were human trash. I think he also said that in the European Parliament, especially people of color.
Yes, but it makes any difference whether I'm a member of European Parliament or not.
Well, it kind of does, because you have a very powerful voice, and I'm sort of astonished by what you're saying, because I mean it's fantastic that you think that women are wiser than men, but to argue that there is a scientific basis for women being less intelligent as men sounds like utter nonsense, frankly. And what I don't understand, while I would agree that in cases that women are physically weaker than men, I don't understand how you can possibly justify a pay gap on the fact that women are shorter than men. Because whatever your argument, that is just complete rubbish.
Yes. How tall are you?
5'4".
Right, there we go.
Quite rubbish. I'm sorry. You still believe in stereotypes. We are now living
We
in
believe in
21st
stereotypes.
century.
Is that a joke?
And we forget the 20th
My
century
God, man,
stereotype.
you've got some front.
20th
We are the ones
20th
talking in
century
stereotypes.
that
You've just called
women
women
are weaker.
stupid, short, not deserving of gender pay. Let me ask you this. You've been married.
Please,
This is the least surprising fact about you I've ever heard.
You are lying second time.
You've been married 3 times. You have 8 children by 4 different women. Do you think your special brand of celebration of women is struggling a bit, given your extraordinary private life, where 8 children by 4 different women?
Yes.
You
I
do?
have 8 children. I don't think there is nothing fantastic in that, but there is nothing wrong in that. But please, you have said, as I hear, because I don't hear you well, that I said that women are stupid. I hadn't said that.
You did.
That
You said they're less intelligent.
Intelligence is a very specific feature. Intelligence is very easily measured, and we know by scientific methods that the women are less intelligent, but it doesn't mean that they are stupid. It doesn't mean that they are less wise. It is quite a different thing.
I see.
Don't
So let me
mix
just
things
clarify.
up.
Obviously,
I'm a scientist. I am not a politician, in fact.
Yeah, obviously, I'm the stupid.
A scientist?
One here. So let me.
Wait, hold on. He's a scientist? Why? A scientist? Janusz Korwin-Mikke. Młodość. Okay, he's not a scientist. Fuck me. That is such a dishonest description of himself as a scientist.
Stop.
No, you stop talking. No, you stop talking.
A man of many talents.
I'm being very stupid here because I sort of assume when you say when you say to the world women are less intelligent, I take that to mean that you believe women are more stupid because stupidity, I don't know if you're aware of this because you're an incredibly stupid man, is linked to intelligence. Do you see how it works?
No, I know some men who are very wise and they are not intelligent. They don't understand jokes, for example. Understanding the jokes is a bit of the intelligence. But you cannot understand the jokes and still be a very wise man.
Okay. Janusz Korwin-Mikke.
I don't think you've understood the joke here.
It's one of the most...
She actually pronounced his name pretty well, Janusz Korwin-Mikke.
It's one of the most interesting interviews I think I've ever witnessed, actually. And I do feel like I sat on the sidelines while 2 men discussed the intelligence of women. I'm not sure we ever got to the bottom of why a shorter man should earn less than a taller man, even if we're going to get into the issue of gender equality and the pay gap. But thank you very much.
Can we ask you? I think we should ask you.
To talk to you.
Again,
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Go on.
But please, let me say something. I never said that women should earn less. I am only explaining to this idiot feminists because they say, oh, women are earning less. Why? So I'm explaining why.
Right.
If you are, if you are weaker, you must earn less. I think we've got the point.
We've got the point.
Excuse me. A shorter man shorter men earn less in NBA, I mean, American Basketball League. Sorry.
Oh my God.
If shorter men earn less in NBA, it means that they are less fit to be a basketballer.
Yeah, how tall are you? How tall are you? How tall are you?
I'm sorry, there are two, I hear two voices.
How tall are you?
I hear two voices.
Oh. How tall are you?
In English I don't know, but 1 meter 89.
Right, about 6 foot. Okay, it's quite extraordinary to have a guy that tall who's so unbelievably dim. Do you have a final message for the women of the world on International Women's Day? You can talk to them directly. What would you like to say?
No, this is funny. You'll never beat him, Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes is just boring compared to... Okay, that's not fair. Okay, not many people are as funny as Korwin Mikke, to be fair. Korwin Mikke is just insane. Okay, not many people are actually as funny as Korwin Mikke. Because Korwin Mikke is not trying to be funny, and that's why he is so funny. And Nick Fuentes is very, very desperately trying to be funny, and that's why he's not. The Korwin Mikke is not trying to be funny with his crap. That's why he is extremely funny.
Well, in Poland, it is generally regarded International Women's Day as a communist invention, because you must understand, the left wants to promote women because the women like to be protected. The women think that the men should protect them and the state should protect them, and then they would vote for the nanny state, for welfare state.
Nanny state.
In the meeting with me, a woman in the first row said, "Oh, it's fantastic that the state orders me to wear a seatbelt because the state loves me, take care of me."
Okay. We're going to have to leave it there. We're going to have to leave it there, I'm afraid. Thank you very much indeed. I've got to say, you are the greatest advert for Britain leaving the European Union I think I've ever encountered. So, as somebody who voted Remain, you could have single-handedly persuaded me to vote Brexit. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. My God.
I think women everywhere are grateful that Janusz Korwin-Mikke is in the role of protector, frankly.
I to call him the Polish Borat this morning.
I'm sorry, it's just extraordinary. This guy is a member of the European Parliament.
That's what I wanted to establish.
Yeah.
And
he told you.
This has aged.
Said he was, but I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Have you ever heard a politician be so brazenly sexist?
I found it absolutely extraordinary, compelling, jaw-dropping. I felt like we didn't actually need to say anything at all. It spoke for himself. If you are shorter, you will be paid less. So, I mean, you know, forgive me, 5'4", never got a chance of earning any decent money. Whereas you, what are you, 6'1"?
Me, I'm 6'1".
Are you looking at Charlotte when I say you?
Charlotte's quite tall.
Got some giants
you're quite a tall
at the
woman,
end.
so presumably you're a lot more intelligent than Susanna because you're taller.
Yeah, and you should be paid more, and Piers obviously should be paid more than any of us because you're over
But remember,
6
he
foot.
wasn't saying you are less intelligent and therefore should get less money. He was explaining why women get less money. It's because they're less intelligent and because they're shorter.
He did actually say a 15-year-old boy already more intelligent than his mother. That was his direct
I have
quote.
to say, in my family, that's probably true. Still to come.
That might be the most extraordinary interview we've ever done.
Enjoyed it.
Oh my goodness. Well, that was something, wasn't it? That was interesting. Are you entertained? Am I entertaining the audience tonight? Okay, let's get to some politicking. I'm actually not feeling very well. You know what? I'm gonna take a break. I'm going to finish for now. I'm going to do politics during the day because I don't feel very well. I just realized. So I'm going to radio into somebody. Edit. I don't know. Who's on right now? Riverboat Jack, the person that's never going to raid me. I'm going to rest and I'm going to do politics during the day. there's a lot I want to talk about, but I'm not feeling very well, so I don't think I'm gonna be able to say it very well. Okay. Bye-bye.